Nepal faces high risk of monsoon-induced disasters, highways blocked and rural roads cut in the east as landslide threats intensify. Nagdhunga-Muglin highway under strain as monsoon risks rise. Management challenges grow amid increasing accident threats. Nepal marks Parliament Day with call for good governance. Speaker urges strict enforcement of Constitution. U.S. envoys reach Qatar amid conflicting claims over Iran negotiations. Qatar says no direct U.S.-Iran talks planned in Doha. U.S. Supreme Court set for major rulings on immigration and sports policy, birthright citizenship challenge and transgender athlete restrictions on the court's debate. And Netherlands and Germany exit from World Cup. Brazil eliminate Japan, ending Asian hopes for round of 16. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama Rai and this is NTV World Prime Time News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal is facing widespread transport disruption and rising disaster risk as heavy monsoon rains trigger floods, landslides and highway blockages across multiple regions. In western Nepal's Darchula district, a landslide in Terchalik in Panebaz area has blocked Darchula-Gokuleshwar section of Mahakali Highway. Police say continuous rainfall triggered the collapse, halting both short and long-distance traffic with clearance efforts ongoing. Authorities in central Nepal's Makwanpur district have also imposed nighttime travel restrictions on Kantipath Hetora-Kathmandu road section, warning travelers not to use the route between 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. during peak risk days. Officials say the decision follows warnings of heavy to extremely heavy rainfall and heightened risks of landslides, floods and debris flow. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority has cautioned several parts of the country face elevated threats over the coming days, including rising river levels, flooding and slope instability, particularly in hilly and mountainous regions. Officials are urging residents to avoid rivers, steep slopes and flood-prone areas and to follow official advisories strictly. Meanwhile, authorities in eastern Nepal's Koshi province have stepped up disaster preparedness as heavy monsoon rains raise the risk of floods and landslides across the region. In Sangkhwa Sabha district, landslides have displaced 28 families in Silichong rural municipality, while damage to 2 hydropower plants has left around 600 households without power. In Ilam, a landslide temporarily blocked Mechi Highway, disrupting transport before the road was reopened after debris was cleared. The provincial government has said security agencies have been placed on high alert, with a Nepali army helicopter on standby in Itahari for emergency rescue operations. Officials say relief supplies and response teams have been pre-positioned based on lessons from last year's deadly monsoon. The Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has forecast 3 more days of heavy rainfall, warning that river levels may rise and travel could become hazardous. Residents are being urged to monitor weather updates and avoid unnecessary travel. Last year's monsoon claimed 44 lives in Koshi province due to floods and landslides alone. Road accidents continue to pose a serious safety challenge along the Nagdhunga-Muglin highway, one of the Nepal's busiest road linking Kathmandu with the country's southern plains. The highway is currently under expansion and the combination of roadworks, monsoon rains, landslides, slippery surfaces and poor visibility has significantly increased the risk of crashes. According to traffic police in Dhading district, 214 road accidents have been recorded on Prithvi and Trivun highways over the past 12 months, claiming 43 lives. That is up from 196 accidents and 28 deaths during the previous 12-month period. Authorities say the main causes include speeding, reckless driving, poorly maintained vehicles, inadequate road infrastructure, and weak enforcement of traffic regulations. The stretch between Gulchi and Muglin remains one of the country's most accident-prone sections, especially during the monsoon season. Preparedness and forecasting are key to safety during monsoon-induced disasters, and community participation can save lives and property. In eastern Nepal's Dhankuta district, a 7-day training has equipped local volunteers and municipal police with disaster response skills to strengthen community-level preparedness. We have a report by our Dhankuta correspondent, Ishwar Thapa.
A community-level disaster response volunteer group could be the best alternative as the first responders in disasters, as they are the ones nearest to the site. In an exemplary practice, Eastern District of Dhankuta has set up a community-level volunteers group with the objective of strengthening disaster response capacity at the local level. A 7-day training program was jointly organized by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Law of Koshi Province and Armed Police Force Nepal. Among the participants were 13 local disaster focal persons and local residents, along with 7 municipal police personnel. Prem Prasad Sigdal, Deputy Superintendent of Armed Police Force, said the training was organized to make disaster response more effective through cooperation between local communities and security agencies.
विपद जोखिमबारे जनचेतना फैलाउनको लागि, त्यसैगरी खोज तथा उद्धार कार्य सञ्चालनको लागि र विपद व्यवस्थापन अन्तर्गत पछि पुनर्संरचना निर्माण लगायतका कामहरूमा यहाँहरू समाज र हामी सुरक्षा कर्मीहरूको बीच सहकारी भयो भने हामी विपद प्रतिकार्यमा पक्कै पनि एकजुट भएर न्यूनीकरण गर्ने हाम्रो जुन लक्ष्य छ त्यो लक्ष्य प्राप्ति गर्न सक्छौं भन्ने हामीले आशा लिएका छौं.
During the training, participants received instruction on disaster awareness, search and rescue operations during floods and landslides, earthquake and fire management, rescue operations in collapsed structures, first aid and knot-tying techniques. The trainers emphasized that volunteers play an extremely important role in disaster management and that developing skilled volunteers within communities would significantly contribute to disaster risk reduction. As disaster management is not solely the responsibility of government agencies, local community-based volunteer group activates local communities, which could result in developing more resilient societies.
We're going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay with us. You're watching NTV World and this is Prime Time News. Welcome back. Saudi Arabia has granted a royal pardon to 33 Nepali inmates on the occasion of Ramadan 1447-2026 following a formal request submitted by the government of Nepal through its embassy in Riyadh. In a press release issued today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Nepal stated that the decision reflects the long-standing friendship, goodwill and cordial bilateral relations between Nepal and Saudi Arabia. According to the statement, the royal pardon was granted as part of customary clemency extended during the holy month of Ramadan. The Nepali inmates will return home after the completion of necessary legal procedures in Saudi Arabia, according to the ministry. Nepal today has observed Parliament Day, commemorating the first sitting of its legislature in the year 1959, with leaders calling for stronger governance, anti-corruption measures, and efforts to create conditions for citizens abroad to return home. Speaking at a commemorative event in Kathmandu, Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal urged the country to pursue prosperity by eliminating corruption and strengthening good governance. The Speaker further underlined that the Constitution must be strictly followed to ensure the rule of law and institutional stability.
मान्यज्यूहरूबाट हाम्रा अग्रजहरूबाट गरिएका राम्रा कामहरूको सिको गर्दै ती नजिरहरूलाई सम्हाल्दै स्वीकार्दै र आगामी दिनमा विगतमा भएका कमी कमजोरीलाई हामीले नदोर्याउने प्रण लिएर जनतामा त्यो बाचा गरेर आज यहाँ उपस्थित भएको यो सबै उपस्थित मान्यज्यूहरूको त्यही नै प्रतिनिधित्व हो भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ.
Moving on, Nepal has appointed 3 internationally recognized conservation experts to its National Nature Conservation Fund in a move aimed at strengthening scientific biodiversity protection and enhancing the country's global environmental profile. The appointments were made by Agriculture, Forest and Environment Minister Geeta Chaudhary, who also chairs the fund under the provisions of the governing law. The new members include Lord Camus William Stoner of the United Kingdom's House of Lords, renowned wildlife biologist Dr. Eric Dynestein, and Australian academic professor Windy Wright. Officials say the decision is intended to bring global expertise into Nepal's conservation governance and support evidence-based environmental policy. Lord Camus has long-standing ties with Nepal through UK-Nepal conservation initiatives. Dr. Dynestein is known for his early research in Chitwan National Park and for developing the influential Tarai Arc landscape model. Professor Wright has worked in Nepal for over a decade on pangolin conservation, buffer zone management and human-wildlife conflict. Now, members of Nepal's LGBTQI community marked the annual National Rice Plantation Day in Kathmandu, participating in cultural celebrations that included music, dance and symbolic paddy planting at Patan Darbar Square in central Lalitpur district. Dozens of participants gathered at the historic site, where men dressed in women's clothing took part in rituals associated with the start of the rice planting season. Organizers said the event is intended to celebrate both agricultural traditions and inclusivity while reinforcing the role of cultural expression in seasonal farming practices. Sunil Babu Pant, Nepal's first openly gay member of parliament, said the tradition highlights the cultural uniqueness of the festival, noting that the unique thing about this festival is men wearing feminine attire and becoming the rice planter. The event concluded with participants reaffirming their commitment to preserving cultural traditions while promoting inclusivity and visibility for Nepal's LGBTIQ community. More than 500 snakebite patients have been treated at a hospital in western Nepal's Dang district since the start of the monsoon season. Hospital records show that 166 cases involved non-venomous snake bites, while 396 were caused by venomous ones. Health officials say patients are arriving on a daily basis, with cases reported between May to June. Dhan Bahadur Casey, head of the hospital's emergency department, said the facility is facing pressure due to a limited stock of anti-snake venom, even as demand continues to rise. Doctors warn that snakebite incidents typically spike during the monsoon, when flooding and damp conditions push snakes into human settlements. They are urging people not to rely on traditional healers and to seek immediate hospital treatment, stressing that timely medical care is crucial to saving lives. Health officials in eastern Nepal's Dhankuta district are warning of a steady decline in exclusive breastfeeding among infants under 6 months of age. According to data presented at a district health office discussion program, the rate has fallen from 66.4% in 2016 to 56.4% in 2021, raising concerns among public health authorities. Officials say the decline is more pronounced among highly educated and economically better off mothers, where the use of bottled milk is significantly higher compared to other groups. The study also highlights regional disparities, with Bagmati province recording the highest use of infant formula, while Karnali province reports the lowest. Authorities are now calling for stricter enforcement of regulations on formula promotion and stronger public awareness campaigns to encourage exclusive breastfeeding, which they say is vital for infant health and development. International news coming up next. For now, a short breather. Mediator Qatar has said no high-level meetings or direct talks between the US and Iran are planned in Doha, after Washington said it had sent a top delegation for negotiations, adding that US envoys are meeting with Qatari mediators. US envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff have reached Doha after US President Donald Trump earlier on Monday claimed that Iran requested a meeting following the exchange of strikes last week.
U.S. envoy Mr. Steve Witkoff and Mr. Jared Kushner are here in Doha to meet with the mediators, meaning with the Qatari officials, and the talks will be around all regional issues which are of concern, including, of course, the negotiations with Iran, but also including Lebanon and other files in the region. So they are not here for direct negotiations with the Iranians or
Oil prices are heading for their biggest quarterly loss since the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020, with investors eyeing potential US-Iran talks in Doha amid a strained interim ceasefire in the 4-month-old war. Brent August crude futures, which expire on Tuesday, were up 0.16% or 12 cents at $73.27 a barrel as of 9:59 GMT. However, the contract was on track for a third straight monthly decline and was down about 20% so far in June. The more actively traded September contract gained 0.43% or 32 cents to $74.23 a barrel. US West Texas Intermediate for August rose 0.38% or 27 cents to $71.02 a barrel. Both Brent and WTI prices are close to pre-war levels. Ankara is preparing for the NATO summit on July 7 to 8 under extensive security measures, with police teams continuing public order and traffic inspections across the capital. The upcoming NATO summit is expected to center on defense spending commitments, ongoing support for Ukraine, and broader alliance security priorities. The meeting will bring together leaders from member states to discuss strengthening collective defense amid continued concerns over regional conflicts and rising geopolitical tensions. Cybersecurity, counterterrorism, and protection of critical infrastructure are also expected to feature on the agenda, alongside efforts to boost NATO's technological and industrial defense capacity. The summit comes as Ankara deploys extensive security measures, with around 56,000 personnel assigned to ensure safety during the high-level gathering. Heavy monsoon rains have intensified the flood situation in Assam, India, affecting more than 45,000 people across 5 districts. Rescue and relief operations are underway, with the National Disaster Response Force and the Indian Air Force assisting stranded residents and delivering emergency support. Relief and rescue operations are being carried out in the affected regions, with 12 relief camps and distribution centers operating across 2 districts. In neighboring Arunachal Pradesh, rescue efforts have also been stepped up. Authorities said the situation remains under close watch as further rainfall is forecast, raising concerns of additional flooding and prolonged disruption across the region. Meanwhile, rescuers continue searching for survivors buried under the rubble of a collapsed building in Los Corrales and La Gaira 5 days after deadly twin earthquakes struck northern Venezuela. By the latest official count, about 1,700 people have been killed and 5,000 injured, with no government update on the number of missing. Other estimates place the number of missing in tens of thousands. Emergency teams, supported by military units and volunteers, are working through unstable debris as aftershocks continue to hamper recovery. Authorities have warned that the death toll could still rise as search operations expand into heavily damaged residential areas. More international news and sports update coming up next. For now, a short break. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to issue two major rulings later today that could have significant implications for immigration and sports policy under President Donald Trump's administration. The court will first decide on the legality of an executive order aimed at limiting birthright citizenship, a constitutional guarantee under the 14th Amendment that grants automatic citizenship to those born on U.S. soil. The ruling could determine whether more than 150 years of legal precedent is upheld or significantly narrowed. In a separate case, the court will also rule on state laws restricting transgender athletes from competing in women's and girls' school and college sports. Requiring transgender athletes to compete in sport categories that match their biological sex has been a core agenda item for Republicans at the state and federal level under the Trump administration. Police officers have been deployed across South Africa because of fears that anti-immigration protests could turn violent, as President Cyril Ramaphosa urged demonstrators to refrain from intimidation, threats or ultimatums. The demonstrations are linked to an unofficial June 30 ultimatum issued by campaigners demanding that undocumented foreigners leave South Africa. Many have already fled to escape violence and intimidation. South African police say 25,000 have been repatriated so far. Most are from other African countries. Johannesburg, where one of the protests is taking place, is usually quiet. Shops in the city centre are closed, however, while police visibility is high on major streets. The Juche 3 Y2 reusable carrier rocket successfully completed its static fire test in northwest China, laying a solid foundation for subsequent flight missions, according to its developer Landspace. A static fire test is a critical pre-launch procedure in which a rocket's engines are ignited while the vehicle is secured on the ground to verify its performance and safety. All key ground verification work before the launch has now been completed. In the next phase, the test team will carry out launch preparations as planned, fully preparing the flight test mission. The rocket's first stage is equipped with a reaction control system, grid fins and landing legs, enabling vertical landing and rescue after liftoff. Turkey's Enescu cave is attracting increasing numbers of visitors as a natural tourism site featuring geological formations that continue to evolve. The cave stretches 1,356 meters and is known for its stalactites, stalagmites and travertine pools, which are still forming through ongoing mineral deposition. Discovered accidentally by a shepherd years ago, the cave was formed over millions of years through the dissolution of minerals in rock layers. Authorities have developed visitor infrastructure, including lighting and walking paths, allowing safe public access to its interior formations. The site has since become one of the region's notable tourism destinations, offering guided underground routes showcasing active geological processes. And with that, we move on to sports update. Two football giants, the Netherlands and Germany, were knocked out of FIFA World Cup 2026 on the same day after dramatic penalty shootouts, while Morocco and Paraguay booked their places in the last 16. Morocco stunned the Netherlands 3-2 on penalties after a tightly contested match, continuing their impressive run as they move into the pre-quarterfinals. The exit of Japan at the hands of Brazil means the tournament will no longer have any Asian teams in the round of 16. Aprila Kising-Lama brings more.
Morocco stunned the Netherlands in a tiebreaker to advance to the pre-quarterfinals of the FIFA World Cup 2026. In the match held Tuesday morning, Morocco defeated the Netherlands 3-2 in a penalty shootout to reach the last 16. Morocco, who made history by reaching the semi-finals in the 2022 World Cup, will now face co-host Canada in the round of 16. Paraguay also shocked four-time champions Germany, defeating it 4-3 in a penalty shootout to reach the last 16. The match at Boston Stadium on Tuesday morning ended after 90 minutes and extra time, marking the first penalty shootout of the ongoing World Cup. Paraguay will now face the winner of France versus Sweden, scheduled for Wednesday morning. Meanwhile, substitute left winger Gabriel Martinelli scored in the 5th minute of injury time to send Brazil into the last 16. In the match held Monday night at Houston Stadium, Brazil defeated Japan 2-1. As the game seemed headed for extra time, Martinelli, who came on in the 66th minute, scored the decisive goal from Bruno Guimaraes' pass, beating goalkeeper Suzuki with a left-footed strike. As the round of 32 intensifies, the high-stake match between Erling Haaland's Norway and Ivory Coast is scheduled at 10:45 p.m. Nepal Standard Time, Tuesday. For Wednesday, France and Sweden will clash at 2:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time, with both the European sides eyeing pre-quarter-final stage. The match between two South American teams, Ecuador and co-host Mexico at 6:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time, will decide which one progressed to the last 16. The last match for Wednesday is at 9:45 p.m. Nepal Standard Time between England and DR Congo.
The French Alps 2030 Organizing Committee has approved the official map of Olympic and Paralympic venues, signaling the start of a new phase in preparations for the Winter Games. The decision taken on Monday follows several months of internal turbulence and a governance crisis that had slowed progress on the project. The Winter Olympic Games will be held from February 1st to 17, 2030, with the Paralympics following after shortly. Organizers said the approval provides a clearer framework for infrastructure planning, competition scheduling and logistics preparations move forward for the 2030 Games. The updated venue plan is expected to guide further development across host sites as the committee seeks to stabilize operations and advance delivery timelines. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. Nepal faces high risk of monsoon-induced disasters, highways blocked and rural roads cut in the east as landslide threats intensify. Nagdhunga-Muglin Highway under strain as monsoon risks rise. Management challenges grow amid increasing accident threats. Nepal marks Parliament Day with call for good governance. Speaker urges strict enforcement of Constitution. U.S. envoys reach Qatar amid conflicting claims over Iran negotiations. Qatar says no direct U.S.-Iran talks planned in Doha. U.S. Supreme Court set for major rulings on immigration and sports policy, birthright citizenship challenge and transgender athlete restrictions on the debate. And Netherlands and Germany exit from World Cup. Brazil eliminate Japan, ending Asian hopes for round of 16. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavna Casey, and in this edition we bring the stories making headlines across the globe, from rising geopolitical tensions, high-stakes diplomatic developments to major political shift, cultural milestones and extraordinary global events shaping the week. We have all that you need. We begin with Venezuela, as the country has been rattled by two powerful earthquakes. Rescue teams are racing against the time after two powerful earthquakes struck near the capital Caracas, killing over 250 people and injuring hundreds more, as search operations continue for survivors trapped beneath the collapsed buildings. The first 7.2 magnitude earthquake was followed seconds later by an even stronger 7.5 magnitude one, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, with both occurring close to the surface, making destruction more severe. Many more people are feared dead, with others left homeless or too afraid to stay in damaged, unsafe buildings, sleeping in the streets after the disaster. The earthquake struck at 6:04 p.m. local time on Wednesday, a national holiday in Venezuela, meaning more people would have been at home than on a normal weekday. Both quakes were shallow, the first centered 20.3 kilometers below the surface and the second at the depth of 10 kilometers, according to USGS. Jorge Rodriguez, the president of Venezuela's National Assembly, reported that the death toll had risen after the country's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, declared a state of emergency. Several countries have pledged to help the rescue efforts, with the U.S. promising $150 million in aid. The U.S. military says it has sent transport ships and aircraft to support search and rescue teams and rapid relief operations. Venezuela lies over the meeting point of two tectonic plates, and the earthquakes were likely caused by the sudden release of friction between them. Tensions between Iran and the United States remain elevated amid renewed diplomatic and military developments, raising concerns over regional stability in the Middle East. Tensions in the Middle East remain high as diplomatic efforts continue alongside sharp exchanges between regional powers. Iran's foreign ministry has condemned a joint statement by the United States and Gulf Cooperation Council, accusing Washington's military presence in the region of contributing to instability and insecurity. Meanwhile, Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem accused Israel of seeking to expand its presence in Lebanon, saying Israel's objectives extend beyond security concerns to territorial ambitions. At the same time, U.S.-mediated talks between Israel and Lebanon has been extended for another day in Washington, with negotiators continuing discussions aimed at reducing tensions along the border. Separately, International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi confirmed that the UN nuclear watchdog has been tasked with inspecting Iran's nuclear facilities as part of the US-Iran agreement, a key step in implementing the deal.
Yes, I think the objective of this agreement is to ensure that there is no development of nuclear weapons in Iran. The government of Iran has affirmed quite clearly that this is not their intention, but of course intentions are not enough. We have to have a very strong verification system in place.
The latest developments underscore continued diplomatic efforts amid persistent security challenges across the region. Britain has entered a leadership transition after Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced his resignation, setting the stage for a Labour Party contest to choose the country's next Prime Minister. Downing Street has said there will be no new major policy or spending commitments until a new Prime Minister is appointed, following the announcement that Keir Starmer will step down as Labour leader and head of the government. Starmer, who confirmed his resignation on Monday, will remain in post as caretaker Prime Minister until a successor is chosen, while authorising prospective candidates to receive briefings from civil servants ahead of the leadership transition.
I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September.
The leadership contest within the Labour Party is already taking a shape, with senior figures beginning to position themselves for what is expected to be a rapid succession process.
I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago, better prepared for the challenges ahead, and better able to ensure the Labour Party secures a second term in office.
Andy Burnham, newly elected MP for Makerfield, is currently seen as the front-runner to replace Starmer, with some ministers reportedly backing him for what they describe as an orderly transition of power. Potential challengers include Darren Jones, Starmer's chief secretary, and former Armed Forces Minister Al Khans, both of whom are considering whether to enter the race. Under the party timetable, nominations will open on 9th July and close on 16 July, with the possibility that Burnham could become next Prime Minister as early as 16 or 17 July if no challenger emerges. China and Bangladesh have elevated their bilateral ties after President Xi Jinping and Bangladeshi Prime Minister Tariq Rahman placed deeper cooperation on trade, infrastructure, technology, and regional connectivity. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Bangladeshi Prime Minister Tariq Rahman have agreed to elevate bilateral relations by establishing China-Bangladesh community with a shared future following talks in Beijing. Meeting at the Great Hall of the People, the two leaders pledged to deepen strategic cooperation across trade, infrastructure, technology, and regional connectivity. President Xi reaffirmed China's support for Bangladesh's sovereignty and development while calling for closer political coordination and expanded cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative. The two sides also agreed to strengthen collaboration in green development, the digital economy, artificial intelligence, healthcare, education, and cultural exchanges. Both leaders pledged to enhance coordination through the United Nations and other multilateral forums while advancing the China-Myanmar-Bangladesh economic corridor to improve regional connectivity and economic integration. The agreement marks a significant upgrade in China-Bangladesh ties as Beijing continues to strengthen its partnerships across South Asia. Millions of people around the world mark the International Day of Yoga, with this year's observance highlighting yoga's role in promoting healthy aging and preventive health care. The world celebrated the 2026 International Day of Yoga under the theme Yoga for Healthy Aging, highlighting yoga as a lifelong practice aimed at supporting physical independence, flexibility, joint mobility, and mental well-being across all age groups. The 12th annual global celebration emphasizes on preventive healthcare and adaptive fitness, with organizers promoting yoga as a low-impact discipline that can help reduce lifestyle-related health risk and support healthier aging populations. In Nepal, yoga sessions and awareness programs were held in Kathmandu and other districts, where practitioners, wellness groups, and students participated in mass demonstrations and guided exercises focused on mindfulness and physical well-being. Yoga practitioners in the country also encouraged wider adoption of yoga as part of preventive healthcare routines. In India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the national celebrations from Kolkata in West Bengal as part of nationwide events marking the day. Authorities also highlighted targeted health initiatives and yoga-based wellness protocols aimed at promoting preventive healthcare across different regions. Governments and wellness organizations worldwide continue to use the day to promote awareness of non-communicable disease prevention, stress management, and holistic health approaches through regular yoga practice. Iceland has resumed commercial whale hunting after a 2-year hiatus, reviving international criticism over a practice that remains legal in only a handful of countries. 2 whales killed off the coast of Iceland were brought back to shore, marking the first catches since commercial whaling resumed after a 2-year hiatus. The whales were hunted during the night of Monday to Sunday, just days after officials allowed the controversial practice to restart. Iceland is only one of 3 countries that continue to permit commercial whaling alongside Norway and Japan. The resumption of whale hunting has renewed criticism from environmental and animal welfare groups, which argued that the practice is unnecessary and incompatible with modern conservation efforts. Supporters of whaling, however, maintain that hunting is conducted under strict quotas and forms part of a long-standing cultural and economic tradition. The latest catches are expected to intensify debate over the future of commercial whaling as international pressure mounts for a stronger protection of whale populations worldwide. Australian researchers have demonstrated a new step in biological computing after training the lab-grown human brain cells to play the classic video game Doom.
Australian researchers have trained lab-grown brain cells on a silicon computer chip to play the 90s shooter game Doom and say they are just scratching the surface of what the neurons could be capable of doing. It's the science fiction work of biotech boffins at Cortical Labs who research the developed and technology that harnesses the workings of the brain's networking system. Each so-called biological computer contains around 200,000 living human brain cells grown from stem cells that were harvested from blood donations. Researchers say the cells were able to learn and respond to in-game stimuli, demonstrating a capacity for adaptation and basic decision-making. While the technology remains at an early stage, scientists believe it could eventually contribute to advance in artificial intelligence, neuroscience research, and drug development. The project is part of a broader effort to explore whether living neural networks can perform certain computing tasks more efficiently than traditional computer systems. Researchers say the results suggest biological intelligence may offer unique advantages in learning and energy efficiency. The breakthrough also raises questions about the future role of biological computing in technology and medicine. Scientists at Cortical Labs say further research will focus on increasing the complexity of tasks these neuron-based systems can perform and better understanding how living cells process information in hybrid computing environments.
Thousands gathered across the United Kingdom to celebrate the summer solstice, marking the longest day of the year with sunrise ceremonies and outdoor events. A severe heat wave across much of Europe has prompted governments to impose emergency measures, with France restricting alcohol consumption at public events. In France, temperatures are expected to reach 39 degrees Celsius to 41 degrees Celsius in some regions, with 35 of the country's 96 departments placed under red heat wave alerts. Following a crisis meeting, French Prime Minister has announced a temporary ban on alcohol consumption at public gatherings in affected areas. Germany has issued national heat advisories with forecast of temperatures nearing 38 degrees Celsius and warnings that a combination of heat and humidity could trigger severe thunderstorms across parts of the country. Italy is also experiencing widespread disruption, with temperatures reaching up to 37 degrees Celsius in some cities. Public life and tourism have been affected, with visitors in Rome queuing under intense heat outside major landmarks, while others sought shelter in shaded and underground areas. In Spain, authorities closed a major football zone in Madrid's Plaza de Colón as a precautionary measure amid extreme temperatures, while match screenings are shifted to air-conditioned venues. Meteorologists and climate scientists say the frequency and intensity of European heat waves are increasing, linking the trend to long-term climate change and raising concerns over public health risk and infrastructure stress. Denmark's Copenhagen Zoo has welcomed the birth of a giraffe calf, strengthening international conservation efforts for one of the world's near-threatened species.
Zookeepers at Copenhagen Zoo watched closely as a giraffe calf was born, marking the third successful birth of the near-endangered species at the facility this year. Staff quickly intervened after delivery, carefully removing the amniotic membrane from the newborn's nostrils to ensure it could begin breathing properly before the mother took over care. Giraffe calves are typically born after a gestation period of around 15 months, weighing between 50 and 60 kilograms and standing close to 2 meters tall at birth. The zoo is part of an international giraffe breeding program and has now recorded 52 successful births since the first giraffe arrived in 1902. Giraffe populations in the wild are under increasing pressure, with habitat loss driven largely by human activity, contributing to their near-threatened conservation status. The newborn is expected to remain under close veterinary observation during its first days of life to monitor feeding and mobility. Zoo officials say the latest birth strengthens ongoing efforts to support genetic diversity within captive giraffe populations across Europe.
In Gaza, a group of women who lost limbs during the conflict have formed Palestine's first women's amputee football team, combining rehabilitation with ambitions for international competition.
A group of young women who lost limbs during the ongoing conflict in Gaza have come together to form Palestine's first women's amputee football team. Founders say the initiative is aimed at both rehabilitation and long-term international competition, including potential participation in the Women's Amputee Football World Cup in Europe in 2027. The team, currently training on a makeshift pitch in central Gaza, brings together female athletes adapting to life-altering injuries sustained during the war with Israel. Players move across the field using crutches, with sessions focused on basic ball control, balance, and coordination, an adapted version of football designed for amputee athletes. According to figures cited by the Palestinian Olympic Committee, nearly 1,000 athletes have been killed during the war, while more than 265 sports facilities across Gaza have been destroyed or rendered unusable. Organizers say the project is as much about mental recovery and social reintegration as it is about sport performance, offering participants a structured environment to rebuild confidence and physical capability.
Thousands of spectators gathered in eastern China as a 500-meter illuminated Golden Dragon Boat Parade lit up celebrations for the traditional Duanu Festival. A fascinating Golden Dragon Boat Parade was staged in East China's Jiangsu province to celebrate traditional Chinese Duanu Festival, captivating tens of thousands of residents and tourists with a glowing dragon gliding across the water. The featured parade is an intangible cultural heritage from Yangshu County of South China's Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region. The parade came alive with a winding line of 55 illuminated bamboo rafts linked end to end, moving through the old moat outside Suzhou's historical Xiangjian Gate. The parade of the dragon-like line of boats stretched over 500 meters, fascinating many tourists who came from across the country to enjoy the festive cheer. The spectacle also featured golden umbrellas and a 4.8-meter high new dragon head that is predominantly green and especially made for this performance. The festival coincides with the traditional belief that this is a time to ward off misfortune, as poisonous animals and insects are thought to become more active during this period. Traditional activities such as dragon boat races and eating zhongji or sticky rice dumplings have been passed down for ages to celebrate the festival. The skies over Denmark's Fano Island filled with tens of thousands of kites as one of the world's largest international kite festivals brought together enthusiasts from across the globe.
Thousands of kites filled the skies over Denmark's western coastline on Sunday as the annual gathering on Fano once again drew one of the largest assemblies of kite enthusiasts in the world. The multi-day event, known as the Fano International Kite Flyers Meeting, brought together an estimated 5,000 participants from 26 countries. The festival is widely regarded as one of the most significant international kite flying events, attracting both amateur hobbyists and professional kite designers. Across wide stretches of beach and coastal dunes, the air above Fano was crowded with an estimated 25,000 kites of varying shapes, sizes, and technical complexity. Participants launched everything from traditional diamond kites and large artistic inflatables to highly engineered stunt kites capable of synchronized aerial formations. Organizers described the event as both a cultural exchange and a technical showcase where kite building traditions from Asia, Europe, and the Americas converge. Teams often spend months preparing customized designs, with some installations requiring coordinated ground crews to manage launch and recovery in shifting coastal winds. Beyond the spectacle, the gathering also serves as a competitive and collaborative platform, featuring informal flying competitions, synchronized displays, and night flights illuminated by LED-equipped kites. Officials say the event continues to grow in international participation, reinforcing Fano's reputation as a global hub for kite culture and coastal festival tourism.
Vietnam's Da Nang International Fireworks Festival continued with a dazzling competition showcasing European precision and Asian storytelling in one of Asia's premier pyrotechnic events.
The skies above the Han River were illuminated on June 20 as the Da Nang International Fireworks Festival continued its 2026 edition, with a fourth competition night themed Creativity, featuring competing displays from European and Asian teams in a high-profile pyrotechnic showcase. Following 3 earlier nights of performances, the latest round of the annual festival highlighted contrasting artistic approaches, with organizers framing the event as a clash between Europe's technical precision and Asia's narrative-driven visual storytelling. The German team, making its debut at the competition, presented a display titled Pyrographics, drawing on more than 150 years of pyrotechnic tradition. Their performance focused on tightly synchronized sequences designed to mirror musical composition, with organizers describing the show as an attempt to paint with light through structured bursts of color and pattern across the night sky. In contrast, the Macau team from China delivered a narrative-driven display inspired by the classical tale Journey to the West, integrating water-based fireworks and orchestral electronic arrangements. Festival organizers said the Creativity-themed night reinforced DIFF's positioning as a hybrid cultural and technological event, combining competitive fireworks design with large-scale public entertainment along the waterfront.
And with that, we come to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We shall see you again next week with a new episode, and we hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. Also, to follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles, as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers, as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna Circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Turangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Thampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna Range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
music all over the world I think it's a universal language, And basically, when it comes to musicians like us, we really get connected when somebody or from some part of the music from different part of the world can go well together, and we can do so many different things, because we come from different culture, we come from different perspectives in life,
We started jamming together, and then we were asked to play a festival at the Patan Museum called the Namlo Music Festival, Music and Heritage Festival, I believe it was called. And so we were asked to do that, and I said, okay, I'll put together a band with Prince. And then he called his old buddies from when he grew up jamming with them. I would play a bluegrass tune, and then they would say, oh, that sort of goes like this Nepali tune. And we would just go from one to the other, and then I would show them my songs, and we would do that. So that was 3 years ago now.
Joy and Prince has already said about it. Actually, they both first met each other. I mean, Joy knew Prince's father back in the US, and I was a struggling musician in Kathmandu, and I was friend with Mr. Prince Nepali, and we used to play in some other different bands as well. And once Joy and Prince, they both met, and Prince was like, are you interested in doing something new, something different rather than rock and pop music? What about some fusions and bluegrass and folk music? And he challenged me like, do you want to do it or not? And I was like, okay, I'm up for it. And then actually it's that kind of story.
Actually, I'm planning I haven't done any production or anything like this with this instrument, so I'm actually planning for trying to fuse a different instrument and get some production of different percussion instrument and our traditional composition, not just Tibet. There are also different instruments like chi, ta, and different folk instrument as well. So I think also I'm planning to get collaborated with different folk artists and the traditional drummers to bring them together and then make some compositions or just play the already composed things and then just make out some videos and then share it with maybe on some social platforms like this.
The music that we are doing right now is like a crossover between American bluegrass music and Nepali folk music. And actually, first of all, we came up with an idea of just playing with each other, just jamming together. And we found out that, okay, so this could work very nicely together. So I'm using a traditional instrument, sarangi, and we're combining this with the mandolin that comes from the US and the bluegrass music. And I think my idea is basically to present it like my folk culture and my traditional songs, and also go together with the American music. I've been very fortunate and blessed to be born in such musical family. So being a fourth generation, I think I never felt the pressure. First of all, because I enjoyed what I was doing, and then more than that, I think it's basically the kind of fun that I have with music, and I think there's some different intimacy between me and music, So I really enjoyed what I was doing, and I really had great fun. So I've been working on different projects and trying to inspire the youth at the moment in my life. So I have this project called Sarangi Ghar, where I basically have classes. We also have the store. We do produce sarangi, and I think it's also encourages me to explore with the instrument itself, and the culture itself, because it's so beautiful. And Nepal being so rich in culture and tradition, I want to collaborate with different artists, folk artists in Nepal, and all from the world actually, and create different kind of new music with different caste and ethnic groups here in Nepal. They also have their own traditional instruments, folk instrument, you know. And I think you must like find a way to have fun with it actually. And then I think more than anything else, actually, the youths can just enjoy what they have been like with the music itself. And I really actually want them to explore Nepali music more, you know. Youth can basically have like an opportunity where they can just go explore, you know, find an instrument. We have tungna, we have sarangi, we have many other instruments. Like if you go in the western part of Nepal, you have like far western part, you have hudke baza, you know, and there's lots of binayo and everything. And I find panche baza is interesting as well. So, you know, everybody can explore like whatever interest they have. They don't have to take it very professionally. They can just enjoy with it actually. Himalayan Highway is like it's a music that's crossed between the Nepali folk and American bluegrass music. So today we'll be presenting mostly the fusion of like the instrumental thing, and we will be singing a few of our original songs. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy.
चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको भावनाहरूलाई सररा उडाइ लाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई पानी परेको बादलहरू अझै पनि माथि माथि घामको न्यानो स्पर्शसँगै इन्द्रेणीको रङ्ग पनि त्यही सररा उडाइ लाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको भावनाहरूलाई सररा उडाइ लाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई मन मेरो खुला आकाशै भरिएको छ जुन र ताराले आफ्नो खुसी यहाँ आफै खुसी उडी जान्छु हावा बनी सररा उडाइ लाग्यो चिसो हावासँग यो मेरो मनको भावनाहरूलाई सररर उडाइ लाग्यो चिसो हावासँगै हो मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई मेरो मनको चाहनाहरूलाई
Actually, our first name was Manaslu Blue. The blue was for bluegrass, and then Manaslu was for Nepal. But then I was, about a year in, I was brainstorming with my parents, and our goal with the band is to bring it abroad. I come from my perspective of American folk music, and these guys bring their wonderful Nepali folk music. And I think the goal of the band is to share this amazing fusion and to show people especially how amazing Nepali folk music is and how much we can do these cross-cultural collaborations. But the thing about Manaslu Blue is that no one outside of Nepal knows the mountain Manaslu. So then I was thinking with my dad, and somehow we came to Himalayan Highway. Highway is a very American thing, and there are a lot of bluegrass bands, Blue Highway, Golden Highway, so it's a common name. And then we thought Himalayan to talk about Nepal and the region. Well, first of all, I just fell in love with Nepali culture. I love momos, I love dal bhat, I love it all. I love this beautiful country. We want to show more people the beautifulness of Nepal. I think that from my perspective, I love Nepali folk music, but in this country, sometimes people haven't valued it. They've looked to the West for other influences. And so one of our goals is to bring up Nepali folk and fusing it. We're not just doing pure folk music, but to show that this is a vibrant, evolving history and tradition that is still relevant today. And then I also think to people abroad, and especially to Nepalis, I want to show them that they can take their instruments and their culture and they can bring it to the world, and that it's so amazing. I mean, everyone who I know maybe they don't know so much about Nepal, maybe the only thing they know is that Mount Everest is there. But then once they try a momo, once they hear some music, then they love it. And so we want to just share this music with more people and share the cross-cultural collaboration.
When the lights down low, I can't keep control, and my thoughts spill out of the hole. And I sing, hallelujah, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And I sing, hallelujah, let it burn, let it burn. And I sing, hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. 'Cause all day I chug away at work and try to shove down sometimes at the end doesn't fade on the page, and my eyes just run a glaze. And I say, hallelujah, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And I say, hallelujah, let it burn, let it burn. And I say, hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. And is there ever an end to this breathless whirlwind? Is there even a point of it all? 'Cause at the end of the day, we're just us back in the fray on this rugged, snowy road. And I say, hallelujah, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And I say, hallelujah, let it burn, let it burn. And I say, hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. And I say, hallelujah, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And I say, hallelujah, let it burn, let it burn. And I say, hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. There's a guy on the stage, and he's playing the guitar the wrong way around. And I also have to tell you that that's not his main instrument, in fact. His main instrument is the piano, but he also slays at the guitar. That's Mr. Enes Tamang.
Nowadays, I think many young generations, upcoming generations, like they are more over into like different. I mean, it doesn't mean to demean it, but people are more over into different kind of music rather than our own cultural music. And I think promoting like this, like promoting through our own traditional instrument like sarangi and tabla, and maybe fusing it. Of course, it's not like we don't utilize the Western culture. Also, we utilize it, but we should not forget like our own roots, our own culture. So yeah, I think it's important so that we could carry the legacy as well of our own musical instruments and our own culture as well. Our brand is like, it's like the main goal is to like, of course, promoting the folk culture, our own tradition and culture music, and with a unique taste, of course, as mentioned earlier. And I want to encourage you all to do music, like never give up. Like in some point of life, like we are doing it as a professionally, and some people might be like demotivated, or they might be like in confusion also whether should they pursue the music as their career or not. But I suggest them just do it. I know there is going to be ups and downs, there is going to be struggle, a lot of struggles, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And yes, of course, don't forget to promote their own culture as we are doing. We just wrote a song like few days ago, and it was so random, but it turned out so beautiful. It's called Samjana, and it's a Nepali, like Prince wrote it. It's a Nepali song, but we are fusing it with the American bluegrass thing. Recently, it's the favorite. Not because it's just written in few days ago, but it has a very good meaning.
Story चाहिँ childhood love story को बारेमा हो, जहाँ चाहिँ दुईजना साथीहरू चाहिँ एकदमै स्कुल टाइमको लभदेखि नै धेरै अगाडि बढिसकेपछि चाहिँ एउटा पोइन्टमा चाहिँ जुन चाहिँ केटी साथी हुन्छ ऊ चाहिँ 4-5 वर्षको लभ पछि चाहिँ हराउँछ र त्यो हराएको बेलामा चाहिँ केटाले चाहिँ धेरै थुप्रै प्रयासहरू गर्छ खोज्नलाई चाहिँ तर कहिले पनि भेट्न सक्दैन र पछि हिँड्दै जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ अब 5 इयर्स पास भइसकेपछि चाहिँ अगाडि गएर हिँड्दै बाटोतिर हिँड्दाखेरि चाहिँ उसले झसङ्ग एकजना चिनेको अनुहार देख्छ है अनि चिनेको अनुहार देख्दाखेरि चाहिँ उसलाई चाहिँ अब उसले पहिला भेटेको मान्छे चाहिँ अलिकति चेन्ज भएको रहेछ तर अगाडि जानलाई चाहिँ ऊ अगाडि बढिसकेको हुन्छ तर त्यहाँ चाहिँ एउटा सानो बच्चाले चाहिँ त्यो केटीको हात समाएर हिँडिरहेको हुन्छ जुन चाहिँ उसको छोरी हुन्छ केटा चाहिँ अब अगाडि बढ्न सक्दैन र त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ यो गीतको सुरुवात हुन्छ सम्झना सम्झना
Well, there's one person who has actually the most microphones, but no vocal mic. He's got a master's in tabla performance, and he's just an amazing percussionist, Mr. Yusum Maharjan.
So right now I'm using these three stone instruments. So basically, this instrument on my left side is called dime. So this is our traditional ethnic Newari instrument. It's from Kathmandu Valley itself. Unique sound, actually. It's very bass boosted, and it's one of the very important instrument for our Kathmandu Valley, and it's used in most of the festivals. Like, you will barely see a festival where there is no dime instrument. So I think the instrument that holds too many emotions of this valley and this country, it should be shared and should be known to the world. And so speaking about this mandal and tabla, and also with the tabla, I would say, like, all of these three instruments these are one of the really old instrument of the world, I would say. Like, it's more than 1,000 years old instrument. So it's already like history living and the sounding of history, you know. So I think it's really important that the Western music that's not even more than 500 years old is being too much exposed, and yet this more old and more dynamic instrument, not just dynamic, and also the compositions, the sound, the tonal quality, this instrument really needs highlight to the world. Yeah. At first, whatever generation is alive right now, so they must actually pass down this tradition and this instrument, how to play the instrument, how to blend this instrument with different musics that's available in the world right now, let's say. To be honest, I'm really proud right now because there is not too much like musicians who are promoting our own traditional music or our instruments. Lots of Nepali people and youngsters nowadays, like, they are too much into Western music, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but I think along with the Western music, I think we should also try to share our Nepali culture, Nepali music. And so this is one of our initiatives to show the world, like, how can we fuse Nepali folk instruments music with the American bluegrass music, and show them the new taste, how they sound with the fusion of these two different music from different worlds.
Human beings have made drastic progress in the sector of handicrafts with the development of civilization from the Stone Age until the 21st century. These include and are not limited to works of art, sculptures, wood and metal crafts. These handicrafts have also found religious, historic, cultural and archaeological acceptance and significance. Religious texts have identified the attraction of human settlements in the mountainous region of Nepal, which has always remained an independent sovereign nation. Ramapithecus human remains found in Butwal of West Nepal clarifies that human settlement had begun in Nepal more than 10 million years ago. We find historic references of works of handicrafts made by those living in this region. Such Nepali handicrafts are artistic and useful, therefore also successful in gaining international appreciation. Instead of the modern handicrafts, Nepal is well introduced in the international community by its traditional and historic works of art and craft. Millions of tourists who visit Nepal every year observe, study and relish the traditional handicrafts available at religious shrines. The high-quality woods brought from local forests are seasoned before being carved. Nepali woodcrafts are not only popular inside the country, but also have a demand abroad and therefore are exported. In addition to sculptures of gods and goddesses, artistic doors and windows, among other furniture, are made from wood in Nepal. Best examples of Nepali woodcraft can be taken as the artistic carvings at palaces, temples and other religious shrines in Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur. The 6th century woodcraft present at Rudravarna Mahavihar in Okubahal of Lalitpur is considered the oldest. Nepali woodcraft continues to thrive with the creativity, dedication and effort of trained artists. Artist Punyaraj Tuladhar, popular around the world, shares his experience. Lalitpur is popular around the world for its metal craft in Nepal. Works of metal craft produced here had a great demand in countries including Bhutan, Japan, China and European nations. Metal statues are developed using two methods in Nepal: repose art and lost wax process, both widely popular around the world. Repose art is a metalworking technique in which a malleable metal, silver, copper and brass among others, is shaped by hammering from the reverse side to create a design in low relief. Small sheets of metal are cut based on required measurement to form different organs of statues before being welded together. Designs and patterns are then carved into the structure. Gold is plated in some works such as metalcraft as well. Such metal sheets are also used in the roof of temples and other religious shrines. Lost wax process is the technique by which a metal sculpture, often silver, gold, brass or bronze, is cast from an original sculpture of wax made of honeycomb. Molten metal is poured into a mold that has been created by means of a wax model. Once the mold is made, the wax model is melted and drained away. In the second phase, the metal sculpture is cleaned with different machines or equipment. After filling of the sculpture, it is then plated with gold or painted with colors based on the requirements. Most of such sculptures are found in Buddhist and Hindu religious shrines. Globally recognized senior artist Krodh Kala Shiromani Kalu Kumale shares his experience. Existing sculptures present in Nepal and at museums abroad prove that the works of sculptures have a long history in the country. Sculptures made using the lost wax process have a huge demand in China and other countries and continue to be exported. Okubahal, Nagbahal, Haugal and Tangal, among other places, are the pioneers in metal craft. Likewise, metal crafts of Tansen in Palpa, Chainpur and Bhojpur are also popular around the world. Silver filigree art of Nepal is internationally recognized. The genre, which began during the Lichvi era and grew in the Malla era, is considered quality work of art of Nepal. Attractive shapes are made from metals including silver, and precious stones are then used to create artistic objects. It is believed that works of filigree art were the first ones to be purchased by tourists. Artists speak of a huge demand of quality Nepali filigree art in the international market. Senior artist Dilliraj Shakya shares his experience. Stone art is taken as a significant category of handicrafts. Equipment including hammers is used in development of beautiful sculptures. This form of art had begun with the development of different kinds of weapons. They are strong and durable and therefore remain intact. Most of the sculptures of gods and goddesses are made from stones. Likewise, sculptures of animals, stone taps, temples, religious symbols and goods used in daily lives are also made from stone. Most of such sculptures are made from the stones found in local hills, including Hattiban, Machegao, Tika Bhairav, Godavari and Kharpa, among others. Senior artist Dharmaraj Shakya says that Nepal's stone art has a unique identity. Of the stone sculptures found so far, a sculpture of King Jaya Varma found in Harigao and currently conserved at National Museum in Chhaoni is considered to be the oldest historic sculpture. Likewise, sculptures in Changu installed by King Mandev, another found in Tilganga near Pashupati, a sculpture of Vishnu Vikrant in Lazimpat, and the one at Budhanilkantha are also considered historic. Sculpture of Birupaksha Kirateshwar Mahadev at Pashupati Aryaghat, Vishwaroop at Changu, Garud Sayan Vishnu sculpture, Palanchuk Bhagwati, Gazalakshmi of Lalitpur, Chashal Hiti and Krishna Mandir of Patan, among others, are considered the best stone sculptures of Nepal. Terracotta sculptures and masks, among other artworks, are made from clay. Terracotta works are thought to have been in existence in Nepal from a long time. According to historians and archaeologists, terracotta works found during a recent excavation administered by the Department of Archaeology were from the 2nd century BC. In recent practices, terracotta works are made before the development of metal sculptures. Different goods used in daily life are made from terracotta works. In addition to the sculptures of religious figures, products such as cups and plates, among other utensils, are also made from terracotta technique, while they are sold in domestic and foreign markets as well. Artists who have been working with terracotta for ages live in Thimi of Bhaktapur, Dang and Kapilvastu. Popular artist Gopal Kalapremi says the creativity and dedication of Nepali artists has been uplifting terracotta works in and outside of Nepal. Pauba art is made in the Kathmandu Valley and is considered as a traditional art form. This form of art is known as Thanga in Tibet. In Tibetan language, documentation and archives of gods and goddesses is called Thanku or Thanga. In this form of art, color from natural minerals is used to paint the pictures of religious figures on cloth. The large figure of main god and goddesses is placed at the center, while remaining gods and goddesses are placed in relatively smaller figures at the other parts. The background of this form of art includes different kinds of flowers, clouds, trees, and birds and animals. An artwork of Ratnasambhav Buddha conserved at the County Museum in Los Angeles of the United States of America is considered to be the oldest Paubha art which was developed in the 13th century. The Amitabha Buddha art of the 13th century, also at the County Museum alongside Vishnu Mandala of 1420 and the 19th century's Sahas Bhujalokeshwar saved at the National Museum in Chhaoni, are considered to be Nepal's best Paubha artworks. The demand of Paubha artworks is increasing in Nepal and the foreign market. Popular and senior artist Lok Chitrakar says continuous efforts of talented artists has helped increase the popularity of Nepali Paubha art. Nepali handicrafts have established a significant position in the international community for their traditional, religious, social, historic and archaeological richness. Nepal Academy of Fine Arts has been conducting significant tasks in regards to conservation, promotion and development of Nepali handicrafts. Active involvement of experienced, skilled and talented artists, along with their devotion and sacrifices, have been rejuvenating Nepali handicrafts and helping establish a unique and superior identity of Nepal in the international community.
A majestic destination blessed by cultural, religious, historic and natural diversities. Nepal is the country of Mount Everest and the birthplace of Lord Gautama Buddha. Karnali is synonymous to Nepal. One can experience the diversity of Nepal by visiting Karnali province. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal. Karnali, that represents Nepal's age-old civilization, is in itself mesmerizing. The province has immense tourism potential with its unique natural, religious, cultural, archaeological and historic diversity. The famous tourist destinations in the province have played an important role in representing Nepal at the international level. Tourism can be the base for prosperity of Karnali region based on its immense prospects. Lakes, water bodies and famous religious sites are the major attractions for tourists in this province. Rara Lake, Sefoksundu Lake, Bulbule Lake, Chayanath, Dai Lake, Sinja Valley, Humla. This is Rara. Rara is the largest lake in Nepal. The lake is situated at Chayanath Rural Municipality of Mugu District in the Rara National Park. The unique lake is not just known for the different species of rare fishes and the musk ducks, but also for the changing color as per the climatic condition. Many foreign tourists come here to witness the camouflage of this majestic lake. A virgin destination a few years back. Now, more than 50,000 tourists flock the Rara Lake every year, and the number is constantly on the rise. Land and air are the two means to reach Rara Lake. You can reach Rara in a day from Kathmandu by air. From Tribhuvan International Airport, Kathmandu to Nepalganj, and another flight from Nepalganj to Talcher Airport in Mugu is the easiest option. However, from Talcher, it is another 3 hours uphill walk to reach the breathtaking Rara Lake. If you choose land travel, it might take up to 3 days. A day's travel from Kathmandu to Surkhet, an overnight stay. Manma, the district headquarters of Kalikot, from Surkhet, an overnight stay, and on the third day you can reach the Rara Lake. You need not walk if you choose this route for Rara Lake. Humla is a very remote Himalayan district of Nepal bordering Mugu. It has great touristic importance. Many pilgrims who want to go to the mythical Kailas mountain via Mansarovar take the journey via Humla district. Tourists, mainly Indian pilgrims, travel to Mansarovar, one of the largest pure water bodies at the highest altitude in the world, for religious purposes. This is the shortest and the most convenient route for the pilgrims. Most of the pilgrims traveling to Mansarovar choose air trip up to Simikot of Humla from Nepalganj. From Simikot, helicopter trip up to Hilsa, from where they enter Chinese autonomous region of Tibet. One day's drive from entering Tibet, the pilgrims reach Mansarovar. The Kimi Valley of Humla is another new tourist destination in the district. Ancient idols of archaeological importance and the monasteries have given it a new name, the Valley of Monasteries. These priceless statues, sculptures, and artifacts are the major attractions in the valley. Majority of the tourists visiting Karnali are the pilgrims from India. Culturally, the people of the Karnali region believe in multi-deity worship, but majority pay homage to their ancestral deity, the master god. The famous ritual of worshipping 12 master deities has become a popular subject for researchers and tourists alike. Karnali is a majestic land, naturally as well as culturally. It has religious and cultural heritages in abundance. It offers attractions for tourists of varying interests. Somewhat deprived in education, health, and employment. Karnali's tourism potential, due to its unique and diverse nature, geography, religion, culture, history, and archaeology, is unexplored. Many potential tourist destinations have yet to be explored in this region. So far, 101 destinations in the region have been branded as of touristic importance. Of the 101, 13 are under federal government, 9 under province government, and 79 under local levels. Karnali might lack top-class infrastructures including roadways, hotels or communications, but many destinations attract adventure tourists. Likewise, medicinal herbs like Yarsagumba, Kali Marsi paddy, millet and barley fields attract tourists when in full bloom. some of the best organic dishes on offer. You might find Kali Marsi paddy, honey, broad beans, dry apple, marfa, barley, sipped wool products as the gifts of Karnali. Whitewater rafting in the 5th best river in the world, Karnali, and very tall and majestic Kanjirova, Patarasi and Sisne mountains, open for expedition, challenge mountaineers and explorers alike. Karnali is also known as the origin of civilizations, including language, literature, art, and culture. It's a pure and revered land. It has a lot to offer to researchers and explorers. Surkhet, the provincial headquarters of Karnali, is the gateway to most of the tourist destinations. Karnali Highway connects some of the destinations, including Kotgadi, Panchadeval, Bilaspur, Mahabu area in Daily. Pachal waterfall in Kalikot, Sinja Valley and the Dul Monastery of Jumla, and Rara Lake of Mugu. Very few destinations of Mugu and Jumla have road access. On the other hand, many budget travelers are not encouraged to traveling in Karnali, as it is relatively expensive due to unavailability of road network. It is a must-go destination for those who want to experience the real Nepal.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Qatar had said that no high-level meetings or direct talks between the United States and Iran are scheduled in Doha, contradicting earlier claims from Washington that a senior U.S. delegation had been sent for negotiations. A foreign ministry spokesperson said U.S. envoys were instead holding discussions with Qatari mediators who are facilitating indirect communication between the two sides.
U.S. envoy Mr. Steve Witkoff and Mr. Jad Kushner are here in Doha to meet with the mediators, meaning with the Qatari officials, and the talks will be around all regional issues which are of concern, including, of course, the negotiations with Iran, but also including Lebanon and other files in the region. So they are not here for direct negotiations with the Iranians or
The diplomacy follows exchanges of fire over the weekend that tested the June 17 interim accord between the United States and Iran. The 14-point pact allowed 60 days for the two sides to negotiate a permanent truce in the conflict that began with US and Israeli strikes on Iran on February the 28th and to resolve the thorny issues, including the future of Iran's nuclear program. Iranian Foreign Ministry's spokesperson Ismail Bagheri said Iranian and Qatari officials are due to meet in Doha to discuss a memorandum of understanding with the United States as well as the frozen Iranian funds. He confirmed that US envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are in Doha but said no meetings with Iranian officials are planned in the coming days.
آنچه که در دوحه در احتمالاً فردا انجام خواهد شد گفتگو در مورد اجرای بندهایی از یادداشت تفاهم هست از جمله بند مربوط به آزادسازی دارایی‌های محدود شده ایران که با طرف‌های قطری خواهد بود. لذا
The clarification comes amid heightened regional tensions following an exchange of strikes last week. US President Donald Trump had earlier claimed that Iran had requested a meeting following the escalation. The conflict disrupted global trade in oil and other goods, exposed Gulf states to Iranian drone and missile fire, and killed thousands of people in Iran and Lebanon. UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer had said Britain will spend almost $379 billion over the next 4 years to modernize its armed forces amid rising threats. Starmer, expected to leave office next month after losing the support of Labour MPs, announced the increase in defence spending at the launch of his long-awaited 10-year defence investment plan.
We must stand more firmly on our own 2 feet. We must do what it takes to meet this new world head-on, to keep our country safe and seize the opportunities that come from investing in our sovereign strength. That is what we're doing. That's why we have reversed at last the corrosive hollowing out of our armed forces. And it's why we're transforming a defence programme that, frankly, for too long has been underfunded and unsuited to the threats that we face.
Ahead of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Defence Investment Plan announcement, Defence Minister Dan Jarvis unveiled what he described as UK's biggest ever investment in drone warfare. He said the investment forms part of a broader strategy to strengthen the UK's armed forces and modernise military capabilities in response to evolving security threats.
This plan recognises the hard truth that the conflict in Ukraine completely upended the way of war. In response, today, we're committing the UK's biggest ever investment in drone warfare. More money for hybrid Royal Navy, more money to increase the British Army's lethality, and more money for the next generation Royal Air Force. This plan reflects both the realities of future warfare and the principles that have kept us safe for generations.
The announcements come as the UK government prepares to set out its long-term roadmap for defence spending, military restructuring and weapons development under the 10-year plan. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres told the General Assembly that global instability, economic hardship and the misuse of the emerging technologies are creating fertile ground for terrorism as the UN opened its 2026 Counter-Terrorism Week. Guterres said sustainable development and human rights are central to the prevention efforts.
We meet at a moment of acute instability. Conflicts are triggering energy shocks, inflation and anger across the globe. Temperatures are rising, millions are displaced, and millions more face economic hardship. These conditions of want, of fragility, of mistrust are ideal circumstances for terror to thrive. Excellencies, this is why advancing sustainable development and upholding human rights are vital to counter terrorism. In practice, this means expanding economic opportunity, ensuring greater inclusion for minorities, enabling the meaningful participation of women and youth, supporting local peace-building efforts, and protecting civic space. A more equal world is a safer world. That is the power of prevention.
He pointed to victims' testimony and private sector cooperation as key tools in countering extremist narratives. Guterres also said terrorism is evolving and the international community must adapt accordingly, calling for prevention, cooperation, and a steadfast commitment to human rights to build a world where people can live free from fear.
Victims shared powerful testimonies that challenge terrorist narratives, and the private sector plays a crucial role in sharing insight and securing the technologies terrorists seek to exploit. Our allies are found across society, and by working together, we enhance our reach and our legitimacy.
Guterres delivered the opening remarks at the 4th United Nations High-Level Conference of Heads of Counter-Terrorism Agencies of Member States held on 29 to 30 June. Police officers have been deployed across South Africa because of fears that anti-immigration protests could turn violent as President Cyril Ramaphosa urged demonstrators to refrain from intimidation, threats or ultimatums. The protest mark an unofficial June 30 deadline set by campaigners for all undocumented foreigners to leave the country. Many have already fled to escape violence and intimidation. South African police say 25,000 have been repatriated so far. Most are from the other African countries. The Ministry of Police said the protests are largely peaceful across the country, with isolated incidents of looting and attempted looting. Johannesburg, where one of the protests is taking place, is unusually quiet. Shops in the city center are closed while police visibility is high on major streets. Police said that 5 people have been arrested in Johannesburg's biggest township, Soweto, for allegedly looting for a foreign-owned shop. Ahead of the deadline, thousands of migrants from various countries have been awaiting processing in temporary camps for several weeks out of fear for their safety. China has begun generating electricity from its first solar thermal power station in the country's northeast with a 100-megawatt GC project in Jilin province. The facility is also the northernmost solar thermal power plant in China, marking a geographic and technological milestone for the sector. The project is expected to produce around 180 million kilowatt-hours of electricity annually, contributing to the country's growing portfolio of renewable energy sources as it seeks to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. The plant will displace significant amounts of coal consumption compared with conventional coal-fired power generation, saving an estimated 54,000 metric tons of standard coal each year. It is also projected to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by approximately 139,000 tons annually, underscoring its role in China's broader decarbonization efforts. Officials said the commissioning of the plant represents a breakthrough in applying solar thermal technology in high latitude and severely cold regions where extreme winter conditions have historically posed challenges for renewable energy deployment. Unfazed by crashing waves along the coast, 72-year-old Wu Feng Chiao, one of the last remaining sea women in Chinese Taipei, carefully navigates the slippery rocks as she gathers fistfuls of brownish-purple seaweed from the shoreline. The harvest taken from the exposed edge of the Pacific Ocean is a traditional practice that has sustained coastal communities for generations. Wu, who has spent more than half a century foraging these waters, continues the work despite the physical demands and dangers posed by strong currents, sharp rocks, and unpredictable tides. Each handful of seaweed is collected with precision before being carried inland, where it will later be cleaned, dried, and processed into jelly, preserving a food tradition closely tied to the island's maritime heritage. Seaweed foraging remains a declining occupation, with fewer practitioners continuing the labor-intensive craft. For Wu, however, the practice is more than a livelihood. It is a lifelong commitment to a way of life shaped by the sea. As younger generations move away from the traditional coastal harvesting, Wu's daily work stands as a reminder of a fading maritime culture. Around 10,000 Vespa riders from across the world converged on Rome to mark the 80th anniversary of the iconic Italian scooter, filling the capital's historic center with a large-scale parade celebrating one of Italy's most enduring industrial symbols. Participants traveled from dozens of countries to join the event, riding through central Rome in a procession that highlighted the Vespa's global appeal and its lasting place in Italian design and culture. Riders, many carrying national flags and wearing vintage-themed attire, passed some of the city's best-known landmarks as spectators lined the route. The gathering was organized by Vespa clubs and enthusiasts to commemorate 8 decades since the scooter's introduction in 1946. The anniversary celebration also underscored the brand's continued international following, drawing collectors, long-distance riders, and owners of both classic and modern models. Organizers described the event as one of the largest Vespa gatherings held in Italy in recent years. The parade concluded with celebrations and exhibitions dedicated to the scooter's history, reflecting its enduring influence on transportation, popular culture, and industrial design.
Thousands of rivers armed with buckets, spray bottles, and water pistols drenched on another with wine during the annual wine battle in Aro, northern Spain, as one of the country's most distinctive festivals transformed the streets into a sea of crimson. Many dressed in white clothing that quickly turned deep purple as thousands of liters of red wine were sprayed, splashed, and poured over the crowds. The celebration, known locally as the Wine Battle, is one of Spain's oldest and most recognizable traditions. Participants gather each year carrying anything that can launch wine, from plastic buckets and watering cans to water pistols and backpack sprayers, before engaging in a spirited free-for-all that lasts for hours. The festival combines centuries-old customs with modern-day tourism, attracting thousands of spectators and participants eager to experience the unique celebrations in the heart of Spain's leading wine region. Once the battle subsides, revelers continue the festivities with music, dancing, and celebrations throughout Aro. Despite the chaotic scenes, the event is carefully organized each year and remains a major attraction on Spain's summer festival calendar, celebrating the region's rich winemaking heritage. In Indonesian island of Bali held its 40th Bali Arts Festival 2026 with a large-scale cultural parade in Denpasar that drew attention for its scale, symbolism, and presentation of traditional Balinese performing art. The opening procession, known locally as Beat Aya, featured around 700 participants from the Denpasar delegation, including dancers, musicians, students, youth groups, and community representatives. The parade formed part of the opening ceremony at Monument Bajra Sandhi, a landmark monument in Denpasar. The performance showcased a wide range of Balinese cultural expressions and designed to highlight both ritual heritage and staged artistic traditions that remain central to Bali's cultural identity. The other segment blended sacred ritual aesthetics with contemporary artistic staging, drawing strong audience engagement during the open ceremony. Festival organizers said the theme of this year's edition emphasized spiritual purification and inner awareness, reflecting a broader philosophy of harmony between thought, action, and cultural expression. Organizers added that the performance was structured into 3 thematic segments, focusing on unity in diversity, preservation of sacred local traditions, and positioning the festival as both a cultural showcase and a platform for living heritage.
Innovation and progress.
Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I'm Sapika Shrestha, your host for the program.
From major headlines to the issues behind them, we break down the week's top stories and explore how they are shaping the path forward. This week's episode includes an in-depth look into Nepal's growing public health concerns. We delve into the bird flu outbreak spreading across 11 districts of Nepal, the role of infected crows in transmission, and the urgent call for stricter biosecurity measures at poultry farms to curb further spread. We also examine the critical shortage of anti-rabies vaccines and the challenges it poses in protecting vulnerable communities. Bird flu, or the H5N1 virus, is spreading rapidly across Nepal, with outbreaks confirmed in around 100 locations across 11 districts of Nepal, including all 3 districts of the Kathmandu Valley. Authorities say infected crows are playing a major role in transmitting the virus, as they can carry the infection over long distances and spread it through their movement and droppings, making the outbreak harder to contain. In response, the government has formed a central bird flu control unit, while more than 569,000 birds, nearly 1 million eggs and large quantities of poultry feed have been destroyed. Officials are urging poultry farmers to strengthen biosecurity measures and the public to remain alert to help prevent further spread. As bird flu spreads across 11 districts of Nepal, authorities and veterinary experts have intensified calls for strict biosecurity measures at poultry farms to contain the outbreak and prevent further transmission. Farmers in this regard have been urged to strengthen hygiene practices, limit farm access, and ensure proper disinfection of equipment and vehicles to curb further spread. As bird flu continues to spread across 11 districts of Nepal, authorities and vet experts have urged poultry farmers to strictly follow biosecurity measures to contain the outbreak and prevent further transmission. The government has advised farmers to enforce stringent health and safety protocols at poultry farms, particularly in affected areas. Farmers have been asked to restrict unnecessary entry into poultry farms, ensure transport vehicles are thoroughly disinfected before entering the farms, and seal the openings to prevent wild birds from entering into the poultry houses. Vet experts say strict adherence to these biosecurity measures is one of the most effective ways to reduce the risk of transmission of bird flu.
पन्छी पाल्दा नियमित हेर्ने, धेरै संख्यामा मर्यो, शंका लाग्यो भने तुरुन्त लगेर चाहिँ नि यसको परीक्षण गराउने, यकिन गर्ने, त्यस्ता लगायतका र रोग देखिहालेको अवस्थामा चाहिँ त्यो प्रक्रियागत रूपमा त्यसलाई चाहिँ नि नष्ट गरेर करिब 42 दिनको चाहिँ हामीले अवधि तोकेका छौं। त्यो फार्ममा अब भाइरस छैन है भन्ने किसिमबाट प्रक्रिया गर्न, त्यसमा विभिन्न समयमा चाहिँ निसंक्रमण चाहिँ गर्ने त्यस्ता विधि अपनाउनु पर्यो.
Experts have also urged poultry producers and traders to obtain mandatory veterinary certification before transporting birds and poultry products, ensure regular vaccination of poultry, and immediately report any unusual illness or mass deaths of birds to the nearest livestock service office. Vet experts meanwhile said consumers should not fear eating poultry meat that has been properly inspected before reaching the market. They stressed that poultry should only be supplied to markets after undergoing health inspections. According to the Department of Livestock Services, authorities have called 569,858 birds as part of the containment efforts. The department has also destroyed 989,313 and 1,954.85 quintals of poultry feed to prevent further spread of the disease. Officials added that bird flu has already been brought under control in some affected districts, while surveillance and containment measures continue in other areas. With bird flu infection spreading across 11 districts of Nepal, the public is asking the same questions. Is it safe to eat chicken meat and eggs? Can the infection spread to humans? What precautions should be taken from home to kitchen?
As bird flu infection intensify, every kitchen across the country is in a dilemma whether to stop consuming chicken. But experts advise not to stop eating meat and eggs, but to avoid consuming them raw or undercooked. Although bird flu has spread across 11 districts in Nepal and millions of birds have been destroyed, the disease does not directly transmit to humans. However, precaution is essential. Since the outbreak began in Morang on March 17, it has now spread to 90 places in 11 districts. To control the infection, more than 570,000 birds have been destroyed, and about 990,000 eggs and 195,000 kilograms of feed have been safely managed, according to the Department of Livestock Services.
जसले त्यो मासु पकाउनुहुन्छ उहाँले सकेसम्म त्यो नाङ्गो हातले नछुने छुनु पर्यो भनेदेखि चाहिँ उहाँहरूले हात चाहिँ सफा गर्ने र पकाउँदाखेरि 70-75 डिग्री सेल्सियसमा चाहिँ पूर्ण रूपमा भाइरस नष्ट हुने र एउटा कुरा हजुरलाई भनौँ कि यो अन्डा र मासु सेवनबाट अहिलेसम्म बर्ड फ्लू रोग विश्वमा कहीँ पनि यो बर्ड फ्लू रोग संक्रमण भएको पुष्टि नै भएको छैन। त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि यो भाइरस चाहिँ हिट अथवा तापसँग अत्यन्त संवेदनशील हुन्छ।
After the infection reached Kirtipur in Kathmandu and Jawlak Hill Zoo in Lalitpur, the zoo has been closed indefinitely. Strict biosecurity and sanitization measures have been enforced to prevent further spread.
निसंक्रमण गर्ने कामहरु नै मुख्य हो जुन बायोसेक्युरिटीको कुराहरु त्यसमा चाहिँ तपाईको फुटपाथलाई चाहिँ फुटपाथदेखि लिएर इन्क्लोजरमा भयो अथवा चाहिँ इन्क्लोजर बाहिर भयो त्यसै गरी कतिपय चाहिँ तपाईको जीवजन्तुलाई चाहिँ उपचारकै भनौं न सेकेन्डरी इन्फेक्सन नहोस् भन्नको लागि पनि त्यसको चाहिँ उपचारको कुराहरु भए।
Currently, H5 and H9 strains of bird flu virus have been detected in Nepal. Doctors say H5 is considered more dangerous. Poultry workers and meat processors who are exposed to the danger have been advised to pay special attention to biosecurity. However, the consumption of poultry and eggs has not come down by much in major cities, showing either public negligence or sign of resilience.
Meanwhile, Nepal is also grappling with a growing shortage of anti-rabies vaccines as dog bite cases continue to rise, heightening concerns ahead of the monsoon season, with supplies running low in several regions. Every year, more than 100 people die of rabies transmitted by bites from animals in Nepal. Anti-rabies vaccine ARV is a lifesaver for thousands in the country, mostly in rural areas. However, the country is going through an acute shortage of the life-saving drug ahead of the monsoon, when the infection is effectively more higher. Here's a report.
The demand for anti-rabies vaccination at Sukraraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital in Kathmandu has risen. The crowd has increased because hospitals in districts and provinces are facing acute shortage of the vaccine. According to hospital statistics, around 200 new service seekers arrive daily to receive the anti-rabies vaccine or the ARV. Since the vaccine requires 3-4 doses, including follow-up visits, around 600 people visit the Teku-based hospital every day for this vaccine. While some hospitals have managed vaccine supplies and continue providing services, provincial and district-level hospitals lacking vaccines have made it difficult for the public. This is forcing many people to travel to federal capital Kathmandu-based Sukraraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital.
बजारमा फैलिरहेको छ भ्याक्सिनको अभाव छ भन्ने कुरा यस अस्पतालमा आएका आजसम्म आएका बिरामीहरू चाहिँ कुनै पनि भ्याक्सिन नपाइकन फर्केको अवस्था छैन.
Doctors say since rabies is a fatal disease, once bitten, people should get vaccinated as early as possible. But the scarcity of vaccine in provincial hospitals is exposing public to serious health hazard.
जनावरले टोक्यो र मानिसले समयमा रेबिज विरुद्धको भ्याक्सिन चाहिँ लगायो भने हामी रेबिज विरुद्ध 100% जोगिन सक्छौं.
According to government statistics, around 100 people die from rabies each year in Nepal. According to statistics received from Sukraraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital, around 20 people are admitted in the hospital annually. This appalling data comes in the backdrop of country's target of eliminating rabies by 2030. With camera person Anup Khimire, Sabika Shrestha, NTV World.
Likewise, shortage of anti-rabies vaccine in Sudur Pashchim province has forced people bitten by dogs, monkeys and other animals to purchase the vaccine from private pharmacies or rush to Kathmandu. The ARV vaccine, which is normally provided free of cost by the government, has been unavailable in most health facilities across the province since the first week of mid-May.
The shortage of anti-rabies vaccines in Sudur Paschim province has emerged as a serious public health concern. The federal government has not supplied any new anti-rabies vaccines (ARV) to the province since January. As free vaccines are no longer available at hospitals and primary healthcare centers, many citizens are being forced to bear additional financial burdens. The stock procured within the allocated budget of 6.2 million Nepali rupees by the provincial government lasted only until mid-May. Since then, shortages of both vaccines and funding have affected health facilities across the province. As a result, patients exposed to animal bites are being advised to purchase vaccines from private pharmacies.
किनेर पठाउने भन्ने कुरा छ हाललाई आफू सेवागिरीहरुले चाहिँ आफैले चाहिँ अब बाहिरबाट कहाँ फार्मेसीबाट किनेर चाहिँ सेवा दिइराख्छ
Rabies is fatal, and anti-rabies vaccination must be administered as soon as possible after an animal bite. However, the current shortage reflects a concerning lack of attention to a critical public health issue. Amid the growing crisis, the Sudur Paschim Provincial Health Supply Management System reports it has been out of vaccine stock for nearly a month. According to the center, budget constraints have forced it to request provincial and local governments to arrange vaccine supplies using their own resources.
मागदेखि चाहिँ संघीय सरकारबाट आपूर्ति नभएको अवस्था छ भने हामी प्रदेश सरकारले पनि 62 लाख रुपैयाँ चाहिँ विनियोजन गरेको छ र यस प्रदेश स्वास्थ्य आपूर्ति व्यवस्थापन केन्द्रले पनि सो रकमको गत कार्तिकमै टेन्डर आह्वान गरेर सो सम्बन्धी खोपहरू चाहिँ आपूर्ति गरेर अहिलेसम्म यो जेठको पहिलो सप्ताहसम्म चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ त्यो अतिरिक्त जुन हामीले यताबाट खरिद व्यवस्थापन गरेको थियौँ त्यसले चाहिँ धानेको थियो अहिले चाहिँ अझै पनि माथि विभागबाट चाहिँ अथवा संघीय सरकारबाट चाहिँ खोप प्राप्त नभएकोले चाहिँ अहिले सबै ठाउँ चाहिँ अभाव भएको देखिन्छ
Where the federal supplies are failing to arrive on time and the provincial funds already exhausted, citizens are being compelled to purchase a life-saving vaccine that should otherwise be available free of charge. Given the fatal nature of rabies, authorities must act urgently to ensure the immediate access of vaccines and establish a sustainable long-term supply management system to prevent shortages in the future.
Now to delve more on this issue, we are virtually joined by Dr. Sher Bahadur Poon, Chief of the Clinical Research Unit at Sukaraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital. Welcome to the perspective, sir.
Thank you.
So from a public health and infectious disease perspective, how would you assess the current bird flu outbreak in Nepal?
Well, first, this outbreak causing devastating financial losses for the farmer due to forced killing birds, the mandatory destruction of the eggs, extended farm quarantines. Secondly, since it's a highly dangerous with a high mortality historically, there's still risks of this virus to those people who are actually directly contact with those infected birds.
So why is bird flu infection or outbreak coming in Nepal?
Well, although there is no comprehensive studies is available, probably it's due to wild birds active movement from one place to another place, probably from somewhere to Nepal, and which carry a virus and often show no symptoms and probably transmit it to the domestic poultry, that is like chickens or dogs, through its contact, which share, for example, shared water source or contaminated dropping. Probably these are the main reason that we are now observing the outbreak of the bird flu.
And what are the risks of spreading virus to humans?
Crows are the main reason. I mean, they are spreading the virus into our poultry farm, and that's why we are observing these things. Actually, they can transmit the virus when they are infected with the virus, and they pose even high transmission risks because to human as well, because they are highly mobile, frequently visit house to house, especially in Nepal, that pose to human as well and capable of spreading the virus for up to 21 days.
So what precautions should the public and poultry farmers take to reduce the risk of infection and help contain the outbreak?
The human also need to take a precautionary measures, and the farmers have to must implement the strict biosecurity to prevent the introduction and the spread of the virus. Likewise, those who are involved in transportation of the chicken and chicken vendors and the butchers must also strictly implement the biosecurity and hygiene measures. I think that's the main point right now we have to take into account.
If the number of spread goes on increasing, what would be the worst consequence of bird flu?
The economic loss, heavy economic loss for farmers, and as well as it's a risk to the human being, as well as we have the history of the infected with the H5N1 bird flu, what we call it as a highly pathogenic avian influenza. The information must be flow from the concerned body to the human, to the population, so that they can alert and aware about the bird flu virus.
So now coming towards rabies contamination, with anti-rabies vaccine shortages reported in several districts, how serious is the public health risk, especially as dog bite cases continue to rise these days?
The rabies is a fatal disease. First, we have to know about this thing, and the shortage of rabies vaccine definitely delay the vaccination that can lead to the fatal outcomes once the symptoms manifest. So for that, I think we have to talk about, the concerned body again, have to educate the people, give the awareness about rabies, how it's spread, and when we have to take the vaccine, and where we can get this the vaccine. So these are all the important things that the concerned body must educate or inform to the general public.
Mr. Poon, as you have said, rabies is almost always fatal once symptoms appear. So why is immediate vaccination after an animal bite so critical, and what should people do immediately after being bitten by dogs?
The vaccine is critical after the bite, as we also talk about this thing, to prevent the rabies, because a viral infection that is nearly 100% fatal once the symptom appears. Somebody is bitten by the dog, for example, because it's any animal, we can say that. We must immediately flush the bite area with soap and running water, at least 15 minutes. And we can also apply an antiseptic if available. I can say if available, we can use antiseptic to the area and control the bleeding with, with the clean clothes, or if available, bandage as well. And of course, the most important is you must seek for the vaccination and go to the nearby healthcare center and get vaccinated against the rabies virus.
So what urgent steps should Nepal take to strongly prepare and ensure access to life-saving vaccines while reducing the burden of infectious diseases like rabies and bird flu?
I guess it's a planning, because without planning, well planned, we can't reduce the burden of this rabies or bird flu, because these two viruses are actually have been, the one of the public health problem in Nepal. So, for example, the government must always, analyze potential hurdle, such as procurement or stockpile status or supply interruption, whether we will face such a problem or not. For that, we must have a good planning and implement accordingly. While for the bird flu, I can say that the information must be, flow from the or provide from the concerned body about the biosecurity and hygiene should be provided to the farmers to reduce the bird flu. And definitely, moreover, we must also do the surveillance as well, because for that monitoring or whether we need a killing the birds and those which are infected with the bird flu, and vaccination for especially for the poultry farming areas if needed. So here is what we can say is as long as the government policy must be focused, they should provide the information about the infectious diseases such as rabies or bird flu, and further preventive measures that they have to provide that kind of information to the general public. And I think these are the main things that the concerned body must be done. So these are all things that we can prevent from these infectious diseases.
Lastly, Mr. Poon, as you have been in closely contact with the patients, people of what age group and of which geographical area are found to be mostly affected?
Actually, the most of the cases, I think, if we look at the data, then they are reported from out of the Kathmandu city, and probably because there is probably time to time there is the shortage of the rabies vaccine, and that is one of the main key reason to observing the rabies cases. At the same time, they are also lacking of the information about rabies, because some people who infected with rabies, according to them, they didn't go to the healthcare center to get vaccinated, because they thought that it's not necessary, because the wound is very small, or the dog is very small. I mean, they are puppy. Of course, they are stray dog, but they are puppy. I mean, the size is very small. And sometimes they ignore their own relatives or family members the advice that they are telling them that go and get vaccinated, but he or she, I mean, who is bitten by a dog or animal, they are ignoring their advice. These are the things that why the rabies is still one of the public health problems in Nepal. I think we must need to address these issues to reduce the rabies in Nepal.
That was Dr. Sair Bahadur Poon from Sukhuraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital explicating more on this issue. That's the perspective for this week. We'll be back next week with major highlights. Stay tuned to NTV World.
After around 7 hours drive from federal capital Kathmandu comes Dhunche Bazar, the district headquarters of Rashwa. Further ahead from Dhunche, demographically and ethnic mix, we reach Kerung custom point along Nepal-China border. However, we are headed to another destination. We are going to Gosai Khunda, a beautiful pilgrimage situated 4,380 meters above the sea level, and a perfect mix of adventure and spiritualism. Our trek begins from this very place. With excitement and energy alike, Our journey to Gosaikunda starts from Dhunche Bazar. This is a famous religious tourism site, especially twice a year on Jane Purnima and Ganga Dasara fair in Chester. Thousands of devotees throng this holy place. The first 1 hour of the trek up to Ghatte Khola is largely straight. This is where pilgrims take a tea break and some rest to prepare themselves for the uphill walk. There's a mini Gosaikunda here as well. Uphill walk through the pine forest and natural diversity continues as we approach few lodges on the way. After nearly about 2 hours of trek, we reach Deurali. Another resting place for pilgrims and trekkers. Sip of tea in this freezing weather is a luxury these small hotels offer. This is also a well-known viewpoint to see the southern districts. The tharpus or shelters built and preserved by the Gosaikunda Area Development Committee are found almost everywhere on the way. With more excitement than fatigue, the journey continues from Deurali. It's still a long way, and it's difficult to reach our destination today itself. Fatigue is visible on the faces of these travelers. In an hour or so, we reach Dingsa. This is a junction of Gosaikunda with another route mixing here. Tharpus and light snacks are available here as well. The trail, though uphill, is not very difficult. The natural beauty of the area, mild weather, and many travelers make the arduous journey much easier. Chandanbari is the next place after about an hour's walk. This is a small but beautiful hamlet for tourists. Cozy but clean and hygienic hotels are found here. Many tourists travel up to Chandanbari even at times other than the two famous religious fairs take place. The oldest yak cheese production factory of a Dairy Development Corporation is here. Even the trekkers take a test of the famous yak cheese produced in Chandanbari. The yak herds also make the environment exciting. Many travelers who cannot bear the fatigue anymore take overnight stop here and head to Gosaikunda the next morning. The place is also known as Singh Monastery, named after the ancient monument itself. The uphill trek continues from Chandanbari for another 2 hours up to Cholangpati. This place, renowned for yak farming and traders, is another stop on the way. Though few tourists are also seen here, yak farmers often gather in monsoon season here. The typical Himalayan lifestyle, cylindrical pine trees and the cold weather greet the travelers. Many temporary structures are set up by local administration, Nepal Army, police among others, along the way during the annual Gosaikunda fair to provide free health care and first aid services to travelers. After another 2 hours walk, we reach the Lodi Bina area. Those who can walk faster take overnight stop at this place that has plenty of hotels. This is the perfect place to enjoy nature and its beauty. The view of mountain peaks including Ganesh, Manasalu, Langtang and some across the border in China and Thunche Bazaar is a treat to the eyes. The idol of Lord Buddha greets trekkers at this place. The trail also gets a bit less difficult with almost no more uphill walk. Legend has it that the place got its name Lauribina, meaning free of walking sticks, as travelers discard their walking stick at the end of the uphill climb here. The same walking stick is again brought back while returning from the pilgrimage. Another 2 hours facile walk takes us to Ganesh Gaunda. From where the revered Vairav and Saraswati Kunda or lakes become visible. The very sight of the holy water of the ponds rejuvenates every traveler. One of the specialities of Ganesh Kunda is the idol of Lord Ganesh and the tailless mice or the moles, known as the ride of Lord Ganesh, are seen roaming freely. Gosai Kunda is just 15 minutes walk from this place. The pond, measuring 4 square kilometers in width and 19.2 meters in depth, is the common holy site for both Hindus and Buddhists. Devotees offer prayers at the temple after taking a holy dip in the freezing water of the pond. Twice a year during Jani Purnima and Dasarma fairs, Hindu and Buddhist devotees throng the holy site. The pond is the origin of the mighty Trisuli river. A little further is the Trishul Dhara, or a fountain with its own anecdote. Legend has it that Lord Shiva, after drinking the Kalkut poison, held it in his neck. After holding the poison in his neck, Lord Shiva started roaming around in immense pain and thirst. The fountain was formed here when Lord Shiva struck his trident to quench his thirst. The fountain is the source of water for the ponds here. Lord Shiva is believed to have laid flat on the ground here after drinking the water. As per the legend, this happened on the day of Janai Purnima. Thus comes the popular belief that Lord Shiva still visits this place on the day of Janai Purnima along with other deities. The river Trisuli also got its name as it originated from the place where the Lord had struck with his trisul or the trident. Devotees throng this place during Janai Purnima. The atmosphere is lightened by various pageantries, including cultural shows during the fair. A few hotels can be found here for those who want to make an overnight stop. However, many try to avoid staying here due to fears of altitude sickness. Nevertheless, medical camps are adequately set up for emergencies during the fair. Special paid horse ride service is also available for those who can't walk. There are 3 different routes to reach Gosaikunda. One is the Kathmandu Chisapani Ghopte Suryakunda route. Another route is via Rasua's Langtang Thulu Safru Gosaikunda. And of course, the route via Dhonche of Rasua, which we traveled, is probably the shortest and the easiest of them all. This route is 3 to 4 days walk from Dhonche, depending on the individual's speed. Travelers can choose 2 different routes to and fro Gosaikunda to spice up their adventure. The revered Gosaikunda at 4,380 meters above the sea level in Gosaikunda rural municipality of Rasua district and inside Langtang National Park is a must-go destination for any avid traveler. Ask anyone who has been there. It is indeed a lifetime experience.
Nepal faces high risk of monsoon-induced disasters. Highways blocked and rural roads cut in the east as landslide threats intensify. Nepal marks Parliament Day with call for good governance. Speaker urges strict enforcement of Constitution. Supreme Court seeks original case file in Bishnu Podal habeas corpus hearing. Special court directed to provide money laundering case records. Saudi Arabia grants royal pardon to 33 Nepali inmates. Nepal appreciates gesture as sign of strong diplomatic ties. U.S. Supreme Court upholds birthright citizenship, blocking President Trump's order. Rules states can ban transgender women in school sports. And Netherlands and Germany exit from World Cup. Brazil eliminate Japan, ending Asian hopes for round of 16. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama Rai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. The news in detail. Nepal is facing widespread transport disruption and rising disaster risk as heavy monsoon rains trigger floods, landslides and highway blockages across multiple regions. In western Nepal's Dharchula district, a landslide at Terchalik in the Panebaz area has blocked the Dharchula-Gokuleshwar section of Mahakali Highway. Police say continuous rainfall triggered the collapse, in fact, halting both short and long-distance traffic with clearance efforts ongoing. Authorities in central Nepal's Makwanpur district have also imposed nighttime travel restrictions on Kantipath Hetauda-Kathmandu road section, warning travelers not to use the route between 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. during peak risk days. Officials say the decision follows warnings of heavy to extremely heavy rainfall and heightened risks of landslides, floods and debris flow. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority has cautioned several parts of the country face elevated threats over the coming days, including rising river levels, flooding and slope instability, particularly in hilly and mountainous regions. Officials are urging residents to avoid rivers, steep slopes and flood-prone areas and to follow official advisories strictly. We'll look at Nepal's disaster preparedness in our issue of the day segment later in the bulletin. Nepal today observed Parliament Day, commemorating the first sitting of its legislature in 1959, with leaders calling for strong governance, anti-corruption measures and efforts to create conditions for citizens abroad to return home. The occasion was marked by discussions on the role of Parliament in strengthening democracy and improving public trust in state institutions. Meanwhile, a parliamentary orientation program was conducted for newly elected lawmakers to familiarize them with parliamentary procedures, lawmaking processes and legislative responsibilities. The two-day session covered key areas including constitution, bill drafting, committee work, budget procedures and codes of conduct for member of parliaments. Experts briefed the participants on the proper functioning of Parliament and their roles in effective lawmaking and oversight. The Supreme Court of Nepal has ordered the Special Court to produce the original case file in a habeas corpus petition filed by the wife of CPN Yamal Vice Chair and former Deputy Prime Minister Bishnu Podal. A bench of Justices Tek Prasad Dhungana and Meghraj Pokhrel issued the directive during the hearing, stating that the complete record of a money laundering case where Sabul Agrawal and Deepak Bhatta are the defendants is required for a comprehensive review of facts and evidence linked to the petition. The court said the original file is necessary to properly assess the legal and factual connection between the habeas corpus petition and the ongoing proceedings at the Special Court. Following the order, the Special Court will submit all related documents to the Apex Court, after which the hearing on the petition will proceed based on a detailed examination of the records. Now, Saudi Arabia has granted a royal pardon to 33 Nepali inmates on the occasion of Ramadan 1447-2026, following a formal request submitted by the government of Nepal through its embassy in Riyadh. In a press release issued today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Nepal stated that the decision reflects the long-standing friendship, goodwill and cordial bilateral relations between Nepal and Saudi Arabia. According to the statement, the royal pardon was granted as part of customary clemency extended during the holy month of Ramadan. The Nepali inmates will return home after the completion of necessary legal procedures in Saudi Arabia, according to the ministry. The U.S. Supreme Court has blocked President Donald Trump's executive order seeking to limit birthright citizenship. In a 6-3 ruling, the court upheld the long-standing constitutional principle that children born in the U.S. automatically become U.S. citizens, rejecting Trump's attempt to deny citizenship to babies born to undocumented immigrants or parents on temporary visas. The decision reinforces protections under the 14th Amendment and effectively ends the president's effort to change the policy. In separate rulings, the court also allowed states to ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's school sports and struck down restrictions on coordinated campaign spending, marking another significant day of landmark decisions. Tonight's World Cup 2026 action features a crucial knockout clash as Ivory Coast takes on Norway at 10:45 p.m. Nepal time, with both teams aiming to secure a place in the round of 16. Earlier on the knockout stage, the tournament produced major shocks. Four-time champions Germany were eliminated by Paraguay in a dramatic penalty shootout after a 1-1 draw in regulation and extra time. Paraguay held its nerve to win 4-3 on penalties and advance to the round of 16. In another upset, Morocco knocked out the Netherlands 3-2 on penalties after a tightly contested match, continuing its strong World Cup run following its semi-final appearance in 2022. Five-time champions Brazil also moved into the last 16 after a 2-1 win over Japan, with a stoppage time goal sealing the victory. The defeat ended Japan's campaign, bringing an end to Asia's challenge in the tournament. We'll have a detailed coverage of FIFA World Cup updates in our sports segment later in the bulletin. Now, as the monsoon intensifies across Nepal, is the country prepared for floods, landslides and other disasters? We look at the state of preparedness and the challenges that remain after this break. You're watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Welcome back. Time now for our issue of the day. Authorities in eastern Nepal's Koshi province have stepped up disaster preparedness as heavy monsoon rains raise the risk of floods and landslides across the region. In Sangkhua Sabha district, landslides have displaced 28 families in Silichong rural municipality, while damage to 2 hydropower plants has left around 600 households without power. In Ilam, a landslide temporarily blocked the Mechi highway, disrupting transport before the road was reopened after debris was cleared. The provincial government has said security agencies have been placed on high alert, with a Nepali Army helicopter on standby in Itahari for emergency rescue operations. Officials say relief supplies and response teams have been pre-positioned based on lessons from last year's deadly monsoon. The Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has forecast 3 more days of heavy rainfall, warning that river levels may rise and travel could become hazardous. Residents are being urged to monitor weather updates and avoid unnecessary travel. Last year's monsoon claimed 44 lives in Koshi province due to floods and landslides alone. Road accidents are rising along the Nagdhunga-Mugling highway as monsoon rains and ongoing road expansion create increasingly hazardous driving conditions. Traffic police say 214 crashes over the past 12 months claimed 43 lives on the Prithvi and Tribhuvan highways, highlighting growing concerns over road safety. We have a report.
Road accidents continue to remain a serious challenge along the Nagdhunga-Mugling section of the Tribhuvan Highway and Prithvi Highway located in the Dhading district of Nepal. Thousands of small and large vehicles travel daily along this road section, which connects Kathmandu with the Tarai and various districts across the country, resulting in extremely heavy traffic. Particularly during the monsoon season, the risk of accidents has increased due to landslides, slippery roads, poor visibility, and ongoing road construction. Over the past decade in Nepal, 24,640 people have lost their lives in road accidents. According to the statistics maintained by District Traffic Police Office, Dhading, 28 people died in 196 small and large vehicle accidents on the Prithvi Highway and Tribhuvan Highway during previous fiscal year. During the current fiscal year, however, the accidents ratio has increased, with 43 people already losing their lives in 214 vehicle accidents, with the year yet to be over. Drivers' negligence, excessive speeding, substandard vehicles, lack of road discipline, weak infrastructures, and ineffective monitoring have been identified as the major causes of road accidents.
अब यस्तो जस्तै पहिरो आउँछ पानी आउँछ भने हामी भन्दा अगाडि नै गइरहेको गाडी हुन्छ जुन उसँग कन्ट्याक्ट हुन्छ अनि के छ त अगाडिको अवस्था त्यो उलाई सोधेर ठीक छ अब पहिरो झर्दै छ भने हामी परै बस्छौं उ कटिसक्छ के छ पानी अझै ठुलो छ कि सानो छ कि त्यो हिसाबले चाहिँ हामी आफ्नो सुरक्षा अपनाएर हिँड्ने गर्छौं.
The section from Galchi in Dhading to Muglin in Chitwan is considered one of the most accident-prone stretches in Nepal. Since this road passes through hilly terrain, it remains highly risky in terms of road accidents and demands extra cautiousness from drivers in this section. Failure to exercise caution at locations where road expansion work is underway has further increased the risk. Stakeholders concerned say the present situation has arisen due to failure to construct safe road infrastructure, install clear traffic signs, conduct regular health and competency tests for drivers, strictly enforce traffic rules, and enhance public awareness regarding road safety. Since road accidents reduction and road safety are shared responsibility of all three levels of government and all road users, accidents can only be reduced if every stakeholder fulfill their responsibilities.
With the onset of monsoon season in Nepal, government agencies have also stepped up disaster preparedness efforts across the country to reduce the risks posed by floods, landslides and other monsoon-related natural disasters. We have a report.
The monsoon that arrived late this season is expected to bring lower than normal rainfall. However, the threat of water-related disasters persists across the country, from the Kathmandu Valley to riverbank settlements in the Tarai and major mountain highways. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority has estimated that around 51,868 households across the country may be affected by monsoon-related disasters. It is estimated that approximately 226,661 people could be affected. Experts have stated that the Kathmandu Valley is at high risk of floods and inundation this year. The area around the new bus park within the Kathmandu Valley is predicted to be the most flood affected. Settlements along rivers flowing through the city including Nakhu, Balkhu, Bagmati and Dhovikhola are also at high risk. Uncontrolled urbanization, encroachment on rivers and failure to clean drainage systems on time have also led to flooding in various parts of Kathmandu Valley.
नदीको क्षेत्रलाई साँगुरो बनाउँदै त्यहाँ सडक संरचनाहरू विस्तार गर्यौं. अब ठूलो पानी पर्दै गर्दा त्यो नदीमा पानी हटाउँदैन. र दोस्रो भनेको चाहिँ हामीले शहरीकरण गर्यौं. जमिनलाई कंक्रिटले घरले ढाकिदियौं. अब जमिन भनेको कस्तो हो भने प्राकृतिक रूपमा हेर्ने भने त पानी पर्छ, त्यहाँ चाहिँ शोषिन्छ माटोबाट. त्यस पछाडि धेरै भित्र हामी भूजल भनेर भन्छौँ हैन, जल भण्डारण छ जमिनभित्र, त्यहाँ जानुपर्ने हो, पानीको निश्चित अंश। त्यस पछाडि बाँकी रहेको पानी चाहिँ त्यहाँ भएका खाल्डा खुल्डी भरिन लाग्ने हो, त्यस पछाडि पनि थप पानी भनेको बल्ल बहेर खोलामा जाने हो। तर अहिले त अघिल्लो दुईटा प्रक्रिया त छैन, न जमिनमा खाल्डा खुल्डीमा पानी बारिने ठाउँ छ, न जमिनभित्र पानी सोसेर जाने ठाउँ छ। परेको सबै पानी चाहिँ एकदमै छिटो खोलामा आउँछ, ढल र नालाहरू हुँदै। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ सहरी क्षेत्र अत्यन्तै जोखिममा छ। काठमाडौँ चाहिँ नेपालको सबैभन्दा बढी जोखिम रहेको सहर हो।
Not only Kathmandu, but dozens of districts in the Tarai and Churi regions of the country are also on the risk radar this year. Along with river basins such as the Kankai, Kamala, West Rapti, Babai and Saptakosi riverbank settlements in districts including Dang, Bake, Bardia, Kailali, Surkhet, Jhapa, Morang, Sunsari and Sinduli may be more affected by floods and inundation. According to experts, the increasing trend of intense localized rainfall means that even with less overall rainfall, flood risk remains high. Risk of landslides is mainly projected in road networks in hilly and Churi regions, and experts have advised taking precautions. Considering the possible risk, the department has been regularly disseminating information about potential floods, landslides, and inundation. The department has also urged the public to contact its hotline number 1155 for weather-related information and emergency early warnings.
विगतमा वर्षहरुमा रेकर्ड गरिएका तथ्याङ्कहरुको सरदर भन्दा चाहिँ कम वर्षाको चाहिँ आकलन गरिएको छ, जुन चाहिँ देशभरि नेपालैभरि नै 70 भन्दा कम वर्षाको आकलन गरिएको छ। यो भन्दैमा फेरि लामो समयसँग खडेरी जान्छ भनेर विभागले भनिसकेको छ अवस्था छैन। यसको लागि चाहिँ वर्षा गतिविधिहरू हेर्नै पर्ने हुन्छ। अझै भन्दाखेरि लामो समयसम्म पानी नपरेर कुनै छोटो समयमा ठूलो पानी परेर सरदर भन्दा कम हुन पनि सक्ने भयो। अर्को कुरो भनेको सधैँ नै सानसानो पानी पर्ने र चाहिँ सरदर भन्दा कम हुन सक्ने सम्भावना पनि दुवै सम्भावना रहेको देखिन्छ।
Last year, monsoon-related disasters directly affected 10,823 families, while 495 persons lost their lives across the country.
Preparedness and forecasting are key to safety during monsoon-induced disasters. Community participation can save lives and property. In eastern Nepal's Dhankuta district, a 7-day training has equipped local volunteers and municipal police with disaster response skills to strengthen community-level preparedness. We have a report by our Dhankuta correspondent, Ishwar Thapa.
A community-level disaster response volunteer group could be the best alternative as the first responders in disasters, as they are the ones nearest to the site. In an exemplary practice, Eastern District of Dhankuta has set up a community-level volunteers group with the objective of strengthening disaster response capacity at the local level. A 7-day training program was jointly organized by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Law of Koshi Province and Armed Police Force Nepal. Among the participants were 13 local disaster focal persons and local residents, along with 7 municipal police personnel. Prem Prasad Sigdal, Deputy Superintendent of Armed Police Force, said the training was organized to make disaster response more effective through cooperation between local communities and security agencies.
विपद जोखिमबारे जनचेतना फैलाउनको लागि, त्यसैगरी खोज तथा उद्धार कार्य सञ्चालनको लागि र विपद व्यवस्थापन अन्तर्गत पछि पुनर्संरचना निर्माण लगायतका कामहरूमा यहाँहरू समाज र हामी सुरक्षा कर्मीहरूको बीच सहकारी भयो भने हामी विपद प्रतिकार्यमा पक्कै पनि एकजुट भएर न्यूनीकरण गर्ने हाम्रो जुन लक्ष्य छ त्यो लक्ष्य प्राप्ति गर्न सक्छौं भन्ने हामीलाई आशा लिएका छौं।
During the training, participants received instruction on disaster awareness, search and rescue operations during floods and landslides, earthquake and fire management, rescue operations in collapsed structures, first aid and knot tying techniques. The trainers emphasized that volunteers play an extremely important role in disaster management and that developing skilled volunteers within communities would significantly contribute to disaster risk reduction. As disaster management is not solely the responsibility of government agencies, local community-based volunteer group activates local communities, which could result in developing more resilient societies.
In this context, today in our Public Pulse segment, we've asked about the disaster preparedness plans of provincial governments and contractors. Let's have a look.
मेरो नाम सुशीला अर्याल, म आन्तरिक मामिला तथा कानुन मन्त्रालयको सचिव। लुम्बिनी प्रदेश लगायतका अन्य प्रदेशहरूमा पनि भारी वर्षा र अत्यधिक वर्षाको सम्भावना रहेको भनेर हाम्रो जल तथा मौसम विज्ञान विभागले सूचित गरेको छ। सोही बमोजिम बल्क एसएमएस पनि यो प्रदेशका सम्पूर्ण सर्वसाधारणको मोबाइलमा पुग्ने गरी बल्क एसएमएस पठाउने अहिले प्रबन्ध मिलाएका छौँ।
म तेजप्रकाश जोशी, अहिले अब सुदूरपश्चिम प्रदेश सरकारको कानुन सचिव हो। मलाई लाग्छ हामीसँग भएको नेपाल प्रहरीको टिम, सशस्त्र प्रहरीको टिम सक्षम छ। उहाँहरूलाई बेला बेला ट्रेनिङ पनि दिने काम भएको छ र उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ कृत्रिम अभ्यासका चाहिँ कृत्रिम घटनाहरू चाहिँ काल्पनिक घटनाहरूमा पनि अभ्यस्त गराउने कार्यहरू भएको छ र आइपर्दाखेरि पनि त्यो टिमले चाहिँ कुशलतापूर्वक चाहिँ राहत उद्धारका कार्यहरू गर्न सकेको छ।
मेरो नाम अवनीश कुमार मिश्र, म सकारित र मध्य प्रदेश सरकारको डिआर फोकल पर्सन। हिजोदेखि भोलिसम्म जुन हावाहुरीसित बारिस आउने र यो सूचनाका आधारमा हामीले 8वटा डिइओसीलाई परिपत्र गरिसकेका छौँ। प्लस मन्त्रीज्यू आफै सुरक्षा निकायका प्रमुखज्यूहरूसँग सम्मेलन हुनुहुन्छ।
म पदम ओझा, आन्तरिक मामिला तथा कानुन मन्त्रालय प्रवक्ता एवं विपद व्यवस्थापन महाशाखा प्रमुख। प्रदेश सरकारले विपद पूर्व तयारी प्रतिकार्यका लागि विभिन्न स्थानीय तहमा भएका जोखिमपूर्ण र सम्भावित जोखिमपूर्ण स्थानहरूमा त्यहाँको जोखिम न्यूनीकरणका लागि विपद कोषबाट करिब 12-15 करोड रुपियाँ चाहिँ स्थानीय तहको विपद व्यवस्थापन कोषमा पठाइसकेको छ। त्यस्तै प्रदेशस्थित सुरक्षा निकायहरूका लागि उद्धार सामग्री, विपद उद्धार सामग्रीहरू खरिदको लागि 3 करोड 15 लाख बजेट विनियोजन भएकोमा सोको पनि खरिद प्रक्रिया अन्तिम चरणमा पुगेको छ।
मेरो नाम सुमन योगेश, डिभिजन प्रमुख सडक डिभिजन भक्तपुर। पानी आएर बाढी आएर गाडी रोकिने अवस्था यदि भयो डाइभर्सन भने हामीले तुरुन्तै माथि ट्र्याकबाटै चलाउने गरी नै निर्माण गरिरहेका छौँ। एक ठाउँमा अलिकति समस्या छ, बाँकी ठाउँमा हामीले माथि ट्र्याकबाटै गाडी गुडाउने गरी निर्माण गरिसकेका छौँ।
म शिवलाल दाहाल, योजना प्रमुख कालीकण्डी करिडोर सडक योजना पाल्पा। विशेष गरी बर्सातको समयमा हाम्रो चाहिँ राजमार्ग सडकहरू जुन अवरुद्ध हुने अवस्था रहन्छ त्यसलाई हामीले तत्काल चाहिँ मनसुन विपद प्रतिकार योजना बनाएर कार्यान्वयन गरिरहेको अवस्था छ। त्यो अन्तर्गत हामीले चाहिँ अब जुन हाम्रो विभागीय एउटा नीति छ, विभागीय नीति अनुरूप जहाँ चाहिँ सडक स्तरोन्नति भइरहेको छ त्यो खण्डहरूमा चाहिँ निर्माण व्यावसायिक इक्विपमेन्टहरू परिचालन हुने अवस्था छ भने हाम्रो कार्यक्षेत्र हाम्रो चाहिँ योजनाकै चाहिँ जुरिडिक्सनमा भएको ठेक्काहरूको हकमा चाहिँ हाम्रो विभागीय चाहिँ इक्विपमेन्ट हेभी इक्विपमेन्टहरू परिचालन गर्छौँ।
यो विशेष चामे सडक खण्ड चाहिँ मनाङ जोड्ने एकमात्र सडक भएकोले अझ विशेष महत्त्वका साथ हेर्ने गरिन्छ र विपदको पूर्व तयारीको स्वरूप हामीले सडक विभाग मार्फतका हेभी इक्विपमेन्टहरू यहाँ बेसी सहरमा रामबजार लगायत अन्य ठाउँहरू पनि डिप्लोय गरेका छौँ भने त्यस्तै अन्य निकाय हाम्रो विभिन्न हाइड्रो पावरहरू हाम्रा कन्ट्र्याक्टरहरूलाई समेत तयारी अवस्थामा रहनको लागि हामीले अनुरोध गरेर त्यसरी व्यवस्थापन गरेका छौँ।
That wraps up our issue of the day. Nepal marks Parliament Day with renewed calls for good governance and constitutional accountability. Coming up next, why first-time lawmakers are undergoing orientation to strengthen parliamentary conduct and decorum. Stay with us as we go in depth in our cover story after this break. You're watching News Hour here on NTV World. I am Sarah Sapsanama Rai. Welcome back. Time now for our cover story of the day. Nepal today has observed Parliament Day, commemorating the first sitting of its legislature in 1959, with leaders calling for stronger governance, anti-corruption measures and efforts to create conditions for citizens abroad to return home. Speaking at a commemorative event in Kathmandu, Speaker Dol Prasad Aryal urged the country to pursue prosperity by eliminating corruption and strengthening good governance. The Speaker further underlined that the Constitution must be strictly followed to ensure the rule of law and institutional stability.
मान्यज्यूहरूबाट हाम्रा अग्रजहरूबाट
गरिएका राम्रा कामहरूको सिको गर्दै ती नजिरहरूलाई सम्हाल्दै स्वीकार्दै र आगामी दिनमा विगतमा भएका कमी कमजोरीलाई हामीले नदोर्याउने प्रण लिएर जनतामा त्यो बाचा गरेर आज यहाँ उपस्थित भएको यो सबै उपस्थित मान्यज्यूहरूको त्यही नै प्रतिनिधित्व हो भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ।
Now, for a parliament that has more than 70% first-timers, it is but obvious that their demeanour has been questioned in not more than 3 months. The supreme body for lawmaking has its own decorum and custom that the people-elected representatives are expected to follow. Amid questions over some lawmakers' actions as well as words, the 2-day orientation is expected to help normalise the proceedings in future.
For those newly elected to Parliament, the supreme legislative body that makes laws, the parliamentary proceedings, lawmaking and parliamentary practices are new. The 2-day orientation was aimed at helping them understand these processes and practices. Lawmakers have said that the program has been helpful in making their roles more effective.
कस्तो सहज ढंगमा र साथसाथै यसलाई कसरी व्यवस्थित गर्ने, कसरी आफूलाई क्यारी गर्ने र कुन विषयको कुन शाखामा जाने भन्ने कुराहरुको धेरै जानकारी दिनुभएको छ। तर मलाई लाग्छ कि यो कार्यक्रम चाहिँ अलिकति अगाडि भइदिएको भए हुन्थ्यो।
ले जिम्मेवार जवाबदेही महसुस गरिरहेका छौं र यो पुस्ताले नगरे अब कुन पुस्ताले गर्ने भन्ने सवाल पनि रहन्छ र हामीलाई अब राम्रो गर्नुको अर्को विकल्प छैन। हामी एकदम जिम्मेवार भएर सोचिरहेका छौं, गरिरहेका छौं।
Members entering Parliament through open politics carry not only the expectations of citizens regarding development work, but also the responsibility to skillfully carry out parliamentary procedures and practices. From lawmaking to monitoring government activities and raising the people's voices in Parliament, parliamentary practice is essential to making these responsibilities more effective. With this need in mind, the Parliament Secretariat conducted orientation training for newly elected MPs. In the training, experts provided information on the Constitution, parliamentary procedures, bill drafting, the role of parliamentary committees, the budget process, codes of conduct, and the responsibilities of MPs. Those embarking on their first parliamentary journey said that the institutional knowledge provided about parliamentary processes, rules and practices will be very helpful in the days ahead. The role of people's representatives is not limited to attending parliament sessions. At times, it also involves raising their voices, making an effective presence in the lawmaking process, and even introducing private bills when necessary. Lawmakers have expressed that such programs will help make parliamentary practice more effective, responsible, and results-oriented.
That was our cover story. In other news, Information and Communications Minister Bikram Timil Sina has directed Nepal Telecom to make its services more customer-friendly, faster and more efficient. During an inspection visit to the Business Support System section under the Information Technology Directorate and the Telecommunications Office at Sundhara, the minister instructed the authority to further improve service delivery by making it more effective, transparent and digitally based. During the inspection, Nepal Telecom Manager Salikram Subedi briefed the minister on ongoing activities under the IT Directorate and the company's billing system. The minister also took information on billing operations, customer management and IT-based service delivery. He later visited the Sundhara Telecommunications Office where he interacted directly with service seekers and reviewed service delivery on the ground. After the inspection, Minister Timil Sina instructed Nepal Telecom to ensure more convenient, faster and higher quality services for customers through improved systems and digital transformation. Nepal has appointed 3 internationally recognized conservation experts to its National Nature Conservation Fund in a move aimed at strengthening scientific biodiversity protection and enhancing the country's global environmental profile. The appointments were made by Agriculture, Forest and Environment Minister Geeta Chaudhary, who also chairs the fund under provisions of the governing law. The new members include Lord Camus William Stoner of the United Kingdom's House of Lords, renowned wildlife biologist Dr. Eric Dynestein and Australian academic Professor Wendy Wright. Officials say the decision is intended to bring global expertise into Nepal's conservation governance and support evidence-based environmental policy. Lord Camus has long-standing ties with Nepal through UK-Nepal conservation initiatives. Dr. Dynestein is known for his early research in Chitwan National Park and for developing the influential Tarai Arc landscape model. Professor Wright has worked in Nepal for over a decade on pangolin conservation, buffer zone management and human-wildlife conflict. Nepal's tea exports to India through the Mechi customs point have resumed after weeks of disruption caused by tighter Indian import regulations, easing uncertainty for the country's tea industry. The breakthrough follows a new directive issued by India's tea board and diplomatic efforts involving Nepali government agencies and tea industry representatives, according to Mechi Customs Office Chief Shivalal Neopane. Under the revised rules, tea imported into India for domestic consumption will be subject to risk-based testing, with samples collected from 20% of consignments during the initial phase. However, tea entering India for re-export must obtain a mandatory clearance certificate from the Tea Board of India. The new procedures also require importers to submit shipment details through the Tea Council portal, including import declarations, container numbers, warehouse information, packaging designs, and the country of origin. Likewise, India's Food Safety and Standards Authority requires laboratories to upload test reports for collected samples within 5 days, according to Indra Prasad Adhikari, the information officer at the Regional Office of National Tea and Coffee Development Board in Chhapa. Nepali film industry marked a series of achievements, including awards, new digital services and recognition of long-serving filmmakers, marking the 26th anniversary of the Film Development Board. At the program held in Kathmandu, the board launched the Cinepa application, offering 34 film-related services aimed at improving access to industry resources. Filmmakers with 20 and 30 years of continuous contribution were also honored with special identity cards. Awards were presented to 3 short films and 3 documentaries. The board also announced support of about $3,008 for the story Surilo Rukh from its Story Bank initiative. Speaking at the event, Information and Communications Minister Bikram Timal Sinha said politics has entered a new era and citizens are expecting renewed hope.
एउटा नयाँ बिहानी आएको छ नेपाली राजनीतिमा नेपाली चलचित्र क्षेत्रमा पनि एउटा नयाँ बिहानी आएको आभास यहाँहरु सबैले गर्न पाउनुपर्छ त्यसको लागि यो संस्थाले एउटा अभिभावकीय भूमिका यो हरेक नेपाली चलचित्रको क्षेत्रमा विशिष्ट योगदान दिइसक्नु भएका नेपाली चलचित्रको क्षेत्रमा एउटा सशक्त रूपमा उदारिरहनु भएका र नेपाली चलचित्रको क्षेत्रमा सपना देखेर बसिरहनु भएका हरेक व्यक्तिले चाहिँ हामीलाई हेर्ने एउटा संस्था छ है भनेर फिल गर्न सक्ने बनाउन सक्नु भयो भनेदेखि त्यो नै यहाँहरुको सफलता हो र त्यो नै सूचना तथा सञ्चार मन्त्रालयको सफलता हो त्यो नै यो सरकारको सफलता हो.
The minister directed the board to ensure that budget allocations, regardless of size, deliver tangible benefits to the film industry and prioritize the welfare of filmmakers. Moving on, members of the Nepal's LGBTIQ community marked the annual National Rice Plantation Day in Kathmandu, participating in cultural celebrations that included music, dance and symbolic paddy planting at Patan Darbar Square in central Lalitpur district. Dozens of participants gathered at the historic site where men dressed in women's clothing took part in rituals associated with the start of rice planting season. Organizers said the event is intended to celebrate both agricultural traditions and inclusivity while reinforcing the role of cultural expression in seasonal farming practices. Sunil Babu Pant, Nepal's first openly gay member of parliament, said The tradition highlights the cultural uniqueness of festival, noting that the unique thing about the festival is men wearing feminine attire and becoming rice planters. The event concluded with participants reaffirming their commitment to preserving cultural traditions while promoting inclusivity and visibility for LGBTQI community. International news lined up next. For now, a quick recap of the top stories. Nepal faces high risk of monsoon-induced disasters, highways blocked and rural roads cut in the east as landslide threats intensify. Nepal marks Parliament Day with call for good governance. Speaker urges strict enforcement of Constitution. Supreme Court seeks original case file in Bishnu Podal habeas corpus hearing. Special court directed to provide money laundering case records. Saudi Arabia grants royal pardon to 33 Nepali inmates. Nepal appreciates gesture as sign of strong diplomatic ties. U.S. Supreme Court upholds birthright citizenship, blocking President Trump's orders. Rules states can ban transgender women in school sports. And Netherlands and Germany exit from World Cup. Brazil eliminate Japan, ending Asian hopes for round of 16. Mediator Qatar has said that no high-level meetings or direct talks between the U.S. and Iran are planned in Doha, after Washington said it had sent a top delegation for negotiations, adding that U.S. envoys are meeting with Qatari mediators. U.S. envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff have reached Doha after U.S. President Donald Trump earlier claimed that Iran requested a meeting following the exchange of strikes last week.
U.S. envoy Mr. Steve Witkoff and Mr. Jared Kushner are here in Doha to meet with the mediators, meaning with the Qatari officials, and the talks will be around all regional issues which are of concern, including, of course, the negotiations with Iran, but also including Lebanon and other files in the region. So they are not here for direct negotiations with the Iranians or
Oil prices are heading for their biggest quarterly loss since the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020, with investors eyeing potential U.S.-Iran talks in Doha amid a strained interim ceasefire in the 4-month-old war. Brent August crude futures, which expire on Tuesday, were up 0.16% or 12 cents at $73.27 a barrel as of 9:59 GMT. However, the contract was on track for a third straight monthly decline and was down about 20% so far in June. The more actively traded September contract gained 0.43% or 32 cents to $74.23 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate for August rose 0.38%, that is 27 cents to $71.02 a barrel. Both Brent and WTI prices are close to pre-war levels. Heavy monsoon rains have intensified the flood situation in Assam, India, affecting more than 45,000 people across 5 districts. Rescue and relief operations are underway, with the National Disaster Response Force and the Indian Air Force assisting stranded residents and delivering emergency support. Relief and rescue operations are being carried out in the affected regions, with 12 relief camps and distribution centers operating across 2 districts. In neighboring Arunachal Pradesh, rescue efforts have also been stepped up. Authorities said the situation remains under close watch as further rainfall is forecast, raising concerns of additional flooding and prolonged disruption across the region. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather. Japan's finance minister has said the government is taking appropriate action after the yen fell to a 40-year low against the US dollars, raising the prospect of government intervention to stabilize the currency. The yen has weakened for several years and has come under renewed pressure from the conflict in the Middle East and the widening interest rate gap between the US and Japan, which has boosted demand for dollar-denominated assets. A weaker yen increases the cost of imports, particularly energy and food, adding to inflationary pressures for households and businesses. However, it can also benefit Japanese exporters by making their products more competitive overseas. The finance minister's remarks signal that the government is closely monitoring currency markets and is prepared to act if excessive volatility threatens economic and financial stability. The UK government has announced its largest ever investment in drone warfare, signalling increased opportunities for the domestic defence industry as Prime Minister Keir Starmer prepares to unveil the Defence Investment Plan. Defence Minister Dan Jarvis said the investment reflects the changing nature of modern warfare and aims to strengthen the UK's military capabilities while supporting the country's defence manufacturing base. The investment is expected to drive demand for drone manufacturers, defence technology firms and supply chain companies involved in autonomous systems, surveillance equipment and advanced military technologies. It is said increased government spending could spur innovation, create skilled jobs and boost exports as global demand for unmanned defence systems continues to grow. Time now for sports update. Two heavyweights, the Netherlands and Germany, exited from FIFA World Cup 2026 on the same day as the tournament's dark horse Morocco put its strong contention. The exit of Japan at the hands of Brazil means the tournament will no longer have Asian teams in the round of 16. April Lankising Lama brings more.
Morocco stunned the Netherlands in a tiebreaker to advance to the pre-quarterfinals of the FIFA World Cup 2026. In the match held Tuesday morning, Morocco defeated the Netherlands 3-2 in a penalty shootout to reach the last 16. Morocco, who made history by reaching the semi-finals in the 2022 World Cup, will now face co-host Canada in the round of 16. Paraguay also shocked four-time champions Germany, defeating it 4-3 in a penalty shootout to reach the last 16. The match at Boston Stadium on Tuesday morning ended after 90 minutes and extra time, marking the first penalty shootout of the ongoing World Cup. Paraguay will now face the winner of France versus Sweden, scheduled for Wednesday morning. Meanwhile, substitute left winger Gabriel Martinelli scored in the 5th minute of injury time to send Brazil into the last 16. In the match held Monday night at Houston Stadium, Brazil defeated Japan 2-1. As the game seemed headed for extra time, Martinelli, who came on in the 66th minute, scored the decisive goal from Bruno Guimaraes' pass, beating goalkeeper Suzuki with a left-footed strike. As the round of 32 intensifies, the high-stake match between Erling Haaland's Norway and Ivory Coast is scheduled at 10:45 p.m. Nepal Standard Time, Tuesday. For Wednesday, France and Sweden will clash at 2:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time, with both the European sides eyeing pre-quarterfinal stage. The match between two South American teams, Ecuador and co-host Mexico at 6:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time, will decide which one progressed to the last 16. The last match for Wednesday is at 9:45 p.m. Nepal Standard Time between England and DR Congo.
The French Alps 2030 Organizing Committee has approved the official map of Olympic and Paralympic venues, signaling the start of a new phase in preparations for the Winter Games. The decision taken on Monday follows several months of internal turbulence and a governance crisis that had slowed progress on the project. The Winter Olympic Games will be held from February 1st to 17, 2030, with Paralympics following shortly after. Organizers said the approval provides a clearer framework for infrastructure planning, competition scheduling and logistics as preparations move forward for the 2030 Games. The updated venue plan is expected to guide further development across host sites as the committee seeks to stabilize operations and advance delivery timelines. Now to weather updates, first from Nepal and then around the world. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. Nepal faces high risk of monsoon-induced disasters, highways blocked and rural roads cut in the east as landslide threats intensify. Nepal marks Parliament Day with call for good governance. Speaker urges strict enforcement of Constitution. Supreme Court seeks original case file in Vishnu Portal habeas corpus hearing. Special court directed to provide money laundering case records. Saudi Arabia grants royal pardon to 33 Nepali inmates. Nepal appreciates gesture as sign of strong diplomatic ties. U.S. Supreme Court upholds birthright citizenship, blocking President Trump's order. Rules state can ban transgender women in school sports. And Netherlands and Germany exit from World Cup. Brazil eliminate Japan, ending Asian hopes for round of 16. That's it for this edition of News Hour here on NTV World. Do join us through our social media and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanama Rai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.